Townsley, St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
The mayor says it was all lies and distractions. Lisa Brady, Fox News. New York City Mayor Eric Adams speaking a short time ago after the corruption case against him was dismissed.
As I've said all along, this case should have never been brought. And I did nothing wrong.
The Trump Justice Department requested the charges brought during the Biden administration be dropped. U.S. District Court Judge Dale Ho dismissing the case without prejudice, meaning it can't be brought back.
In his decision, Judge Ho said, quote, everything here smacks of a bargain. Dismissal of the indictment in exchange for immigration policy concessions, end quote. But the judge said the order is to best protect Mayor Adams' rights, so the decision to dismiss the case for good is best.
Fox's Nate Foy, the mayor denies any deal on immigration to get charges dismissed. The California man accused of plotting to kill a Supreme Court justice now intends to plead guilty.
Attorneys for Nicholas Roski say he will admit to planning to assassinate Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. Roski, who is 29, is accused of flying from California to Kavanaugh's neighborhood in Chevy Chase, Maryland in June 2022 with a suitcase filled with burglary tools and a handgun. After seeing security officers, he left, and his sister persuaded him to turn himself in. He later told FBI agents that he was concerned over the rightward shift of the court on abortion and other issues and had prepped for the attack for a month. His trial was set to start in June.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. There have been reports that Elon Musk might cut short his time as a presidential advisor. Reporters asking President Trump yesterday about Musk leaving at the end of 130 days. The president responding then that Musk has a big company to run and at some point will be going back. America is listening to Fox News.
It's tax season, and at LifeLock, we know you're tired of numbers. But this one you need to hear. $16.5 billion. That's how much money in refunds the IRS flagged for possible identity fraud last year. Now, here's a good number. $100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it guaranteed. Oh, one last number. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit LifeLock.com for the threats you can't control. Terms apply.
Listen up, fellow Gen Xers. Elizabeth Banks here. The recommended age for pneumococcal pneumonia vaccination has been lowered to 50 and older, even if you're healthy. It's up to us to lead the way. We've done this before. Music videos, fanny packs, even the World Wide Web. Let's do it again and get vaccinated, because we're at over 6 times greater risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Gen X, this is our shot. Visit vaxassist.com and schedule a vaccine today. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
More and more clouds taking over as we go through the evening and the overnight. It will stay on the windy side, and temperatures move very little. Will hold in the 50s. Wednesday, a mix of clouds and sunshine, gusty winds with scattered showers and thunderstorms, mainly in the afternoon. But the bulk of the severe weather is going to hold over southeast Missouri and southern Illinois. But we will have some thunderstorms around 78. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Don't get lulled into believing the IRS is getting soft. It's just the opposite. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. We are being told by IRS collection officers that their higher-ups are demanding that they get more aggressive than ever. So don't ignore them any longer. Level up. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call the Lance Story Law Firm today and let us get between you and the IRS. We'll protect your rights, including your right to appeal or even your right to take the IRS to tax court. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney team who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Story Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis, or visit Lance, DRURY, law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Lance Story Law Firm, 314-260-6120.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
I'm Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey. Human trafficking is occurring right here in Missouri. You can help combat it by learning the signs of human trafficking and reporting suspicious activity to law enforcement. Victims may appear malnourished, show signs of mental or physical abuse, or avoid social interaction. If you're a victim or know someone who needs help, contact the National Human Trafficking Hotline at 1-888-373-7888 or text the word HELP to Be Free. Together, we can fight human trafficking in Missouri.
Brought to you by the Missouri Attorney General's Office.
Get one free set of Brake Best brake pads when you buy 2 Brake Best Select brake rotors. Ask the brake professionals about other brake pad upgrade options. Shop your O'Reilly Auto Parts. Offer in store only. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Brian, what song did you say we were supposed to play all day today?
Celebration Day by Led Zeppelin.
Celebration Day by Led Zeppelin.
I can just do it with my mouth if you want.
Go ahead. Trump has now canceled all tariffs.
Oh, no.
Just kidding.
Oh, good.
I was saying that because of your music. It's like, never mind. This is a terrible idea. Oh, no.
We know they listen. So I can see that happening.
Yeah, I'm sure they're all gathered around the radio like a fireside chat here on the Annie Fry Show.
You're a regular FDR.
I get that all the time.
Yeah, you do.
It doesn't stand for...
People usually send it to me, though, because I know it's offensive.
Kind of depends on how you take it.
Annie's kind of an FDR.
He's a super handsome man, right?
That's what they say. They say that about Teddy Roosevelt, too.
Liberation Day. How do you feel going into the show? Because we're going to have Charlie Gasparino on with us here in is he on at 12:07 or is he on at 12:25?
I put that at the wrong slot on the
25?
show. 25.
So I was going to say, Ethan, you should probably go call him. Ethan's in here working his fingers to the bone, and Charles Gasparino's just sitting like the Trumps around his phone waiting for the Annie Fry Show. Charles Gasparino is going to be on with us in the next segment. He's, of course, Fox Business senior correspondent. He is an economist. He understands the implications of tariffs, and we're going to get the lay of the land from him. So if you know that today is the day, if you heard Trump talk about it, I guarantee you he said, we were going to do it April 1st, but I am a little superstitious. He would say it like that. And so he said, let's start it on April 2nd. So we'll find out from a real economist in less than 20 minutes what to expect, what he expects, what Charlie Gasparino expects to happen here, and what kind of movement has been made already. Because, Ryan, there have been initial, like even within the last 24, 48 hours, countries who have been reacting to an extent about these tariffs coming in, and they're pulling back a little bit.
Yeah, it's actually been neat to watch because I think Israel was the one that announced yesterday they would have no more tariffs on American goods. And that is in direct response to the reciprocal tariffs. And that's what Trump's looking for. Hey, if you want free trade, this is how you get it. You actually just go back and remove all your tariffs, and then we'll remove ours.
Well, and that Israel was yesterday, but there have been a lot of developments even since then. I want to play here for you in just a second a clip from that took place regarding. Remember Canada? Remember how Canada? What did they want to tariff on? Oil? Is that what they were going to do? Fuel?
Yes.
Power?
I do remember Canada.
Energy
in general. I didn't really understand that we have such a relationship in, I guess, what would be our Northeast with Canada regarding the provision of energy in that way. But they got all talk, maybe not necessarily all walk. We're waiting to find out when it comes to each of these countries and what they're actually going to follow through on. But they were really big and bad about what they were going to do. And all of that stuff is naturally going to make consumers nervous. And if the consumers are being nervous, you'd imagine Wall Street's going to be a little bit nervous as well. Do you expect anything? I don't see the the stock ticker, at least on Fox News right now here in the studio, which means it might not be doing anything completely drastic, but as soon as if it's green, you better believe it's going to be up there. If it's a huge hit, it's going to be up there all day too. Like, what is your initial thought today? When we get out of today, do you think people feel better about tariffs or worse about tariffs?
After today, I don't think anything will really change. People might feel a little bit worse about it because there's going to be a lot of bad press about it. There already has been, and I think that's actually what's rattling consumer confidence more than anything, is that the talk about the potential. This is what cracks me up. The talk about potential inflation from the mainstream media, which avoided a conversation about inflation for 4 straight years. And now they're all about the potential for inflation.
Yeah.
But I think that is hurting consumer confidence.
Let's sit down and discuss this, because it's just going to hurt American jobs. I can't stress it enough. And, again, he believes he's supporting Americans. He said he was going to create jobs, create wealth, reduce inflation. It's worked the total opposite. Inflation.
But do you think it's fair that you have tariffs on a whole number of products?
That's right. And we'd be willing.
That's right.
That's right.
Ontario Premier Doug Ford on CNBC talking about where they are right now. I don't think I think Israel coming out yesterday, I don't know anything about anything. I'm pretty good at politics. I think I can read the tea leaves on politics pretty well. But the idea that yesterday Israel would make some sort of grand partnership announcement with the United States on tariff, I doubt that the people in the Trump administration were like, oh, did you see what Israel decided to do? I think that was probably understood. They're a great partner, so that makes sense. But Ontario and Premier Doug Ford, they've been a little petulant about it.
He'd take those off tomorrow if he took all the tariffs off. We are not the problem, Andrew. Do you know the problem is? China's the problem. And he's taking a blind eye to China as they continue to build their critical mineral mass. We have all the critical minerals that our great neighbors need. We have the energy that our great neighbors need.
I just want to go back for a moment. If, in fact, you're prepared to take your tariffs off, why wouldn't you have that negotiation and that conversation now before any tariffs get put in place?
Well, we've had this conversation for over the last month. We don't want tariffs. We have another $65 billion worth of tariffs to launch today. That's the last thing we want to do, because it's just, again, it's going to hurt both countries. It's going to hurt American workers.
Listening to this interview on CNBC with the Ontario Premier, he doesn't seem, he seems like he's being defensive and reactive, not really the puff out your chest, big bad guy that was making the headlines, which honestly, in fairness, maybe this has been his attitude all along, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if the left agenda-driven media took his rebuffing and tried to inflate it to try to push back on Trump, because, of course, all roads lead to not Rome, Trump for the Democrat. That's for the Democrat Party. That's all they care about is that if they see a flashy anything in their view, even if it's in the peripheral, and they think that it's a way to try to knock Donald Trump back a step or two, they're going to take it. So in that regard, maybe what we've consumed as people who watch the news, maybe the Ontario relationship wasn't inflated as much. And I would be honest thinking that if American media were kind of inflating Doug Ford here from Ontario to be some sort of big bad, not necessarily big bad, but big good vengeance against Trump, I think that would be difficult for him to traverse that politically.
Yeah, and I don't watch a lot of or listen to a lot of interviews with Doug Ford of Ontario, but I do read the news like you, and you see these quotes, and you see him coming out and saying, well, this is what we're going to do in response to Trump's tough talk on tariffs, and now it's all going into place. I actually respect this guy. He and actually many from Canada, they're not rolling over, but they also don't know exactly what to do. Trump gets that too, and so he's pushing them into uncomfortable positions. They're all like, why are you rocking the boat? But they're not just taking it, but they just don't have a lot of cards to play. So
that's the last thing I want.
No, Andrew meant take the other ones off, not the ones you're launching today. The ones,
I'm saying
the ones that you already got.
You're saying you take all your tariffs off. I'm saying
we will take them all. That's right.
Then why is that not? I guess my question is, why has all of that not already happened? And does President Trump know that you'd be prepared to do that?
He knows, and Secretary Lutnick knows that we're willing to take these tariffs off like in the next minute if he said he's taking their tariffs off. Let's look at the auto sector.
So I think when you're listening to them talk about this, and when you listen to the CNBC hosts walking through this conversation, of course Doug Ford's job is to advocate for Ontario. I bet you he might say, make Ontario great again, or Ontario first.
MOGA.
I'm just not taking that off ramp. I like it though.
You're welcome.
There's no more to do there. Ontario first. If you are Ford, your job is to advocate for what's best for Ontario. I believe Donald Trump respects that in full. Donald Trump's job is to persuade Ford to say, I'm going to tell you what's going to be best for Ontario because I'm telling you what's best for America. And if we have to do what we have to do here, that's not going to be best for Ontario. And there's the art of the deal.
Yeah. And Doug Ford, I really believe he's being very honest here. He's saying, well, the commentators, why didn't you already have this conversation? I believe that they did have this conversation. And Donald Trump's point isn't to do reciprocal tariffs because he wants to open up free trade to the entire world. He doesn't like getting ripped off. But his point of doing these tariffs at all is to get people to move here.
Means to an end.
Yes.
Business in America.
Yes.
Jobs in America. Manufacturing in America. Buying American. Bring it here. And it's not to me, I think it's, I'm going to remind me to ask, I'm going to write this down for Charlie Gasparino when we talk to him here in a minute. It's not like, wow, we're doing a really great job making in America right now, but we could do better. We really suck at it. And the reason why so many jobs and so much manufacturing have fled the country is because our government has created a foundation and a system that says to people, you want to make money? This is how it's going to have to go. So in order to recalibrate the system, Donald Trump has never said that this was like, this is easy peasy. We're going to do this and it's going to be fine. It's a long game. I hope yesterday's question was, do you support Trump's tariffs? And I hardly ever put unsure in the poll question, but I did it yesterday because I truly am personally and individually like, I don't know. I'm not an economist. I try to, balance my finances and make ends meet as much as I can. But what do I know about tariffs and trade and all of that stuff? I only know what I consume, and I'm aware that what I consume comes from people who have opinions. So when Donald Trump is making the case and he's trying to advocate and persuade people to understand what he's saying, I'm aware that he's trying to persuade me. And he makes a good case. There isn't anything that comes up in my little pea brain that goes, well, this is a disaster of an idea. And I think that when you're in a situation where politically everything is pro-Trump or anti-Trump, that the left can be out there and very much so advocating against this tariff idea, but there really isn't a whole long discussion about why they're advocating against it. They just say that it's going to make costs go up. They didn't give a damn about that for the last 4 years at all. They didn't care about egg prices until the end of January. They only cared about egg prices. They only cared about how much it costs you to buy a dozen eggs when they could blame it on Trump. So they only care about your vote on Election Day. That's all they care about. So you have to do difficult things very often if you want to do something transformational. You have to be willing to think long and be principled in pursuit of whatever that goal is. And the only principle, the only guiding light, the only North Star that the people who have had power in the Democratic Party have is trying to destroy Donald Trump and the Republican Party. But all roads go through Donald Trump. Everything they do is reflective of what Donald Trump has done. It all goes through Trump. And you cannot win on that policy. I'm hearing a lot of people react to the news of the Waltz seat and the Gates seat in Florida, and they're saying, what was it, $19 million or something that the Democrats tried to scoop up 2 different seats in the state of Florida. This should be totally fine Republican seats, and they ended up, it wasn't a super narrow margin, but it was closer than you'd like to see it. I said this before the election results came in. Democrats always do really well in special elections. You have to ask yourself, the party that spent $1 billion on Kamala Harris getting her tail kicked in the November election, $1 billion. I don't even understand the quantity of that kind of money. Most of us don't. They wasted $1 billion on Kamala Harris, who, if you ask all of them now, they all say she was a bad candidate, but they made a bad investment in her. They were still willing to do it. $19 million in 2 special elections in the state of Florida. They still lost it. I'm not looking to the Democrat Party for sound investment advice. I'm just not. We'll find out from Charles Gasparino when we come back. Of course, Fox Business senior correspondent. We're just going to sit down. I'm going to say, educate us on tariffs. Tell us what we need to know. Tell us what we should be looking for. How quickly will we see success? Understanding is at about 3 o'clock today, Donald Trump is going to talk on Liberation Day about the announcements that he might have about tariffs. And I think we might have some good news that follows. Like, for instance, leading report on X is reporting Canada to remove tariffs if the United States agrees to do the same, which is pretty much what we just heard there from the Ontario Premier, Doug Ford. Well, that's one box. How many countries are there? Let's just keep moving through them. When we come back, Charles Gasparino on The Annie Frey Show.
This is The Annie Frey Show. The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Well, I was just talking to Ethan before the show started. I go, there's somebody in my driveway. They've been sitting there for a few minutes. I don't know who it is. So I was watching on the ring. Oh, it's Point Pest Control. Well, so I was very excited then. I went from kind of like eyebrow raising curious to, oh yeah, that's right. They sent me like 4 notifications that they were going to be there and I just forgot. Point Pest Control. I am a quarterly subscriber, paying customer of Point Pest Control for this service that keeps my house bug free. They have been so on point, no pun intended, with these quarterly service spray. They go around my house. They make sure that any sort of critters that look like they might be trying to creep in, they can identify what's going on around my house and make sure that we are protected inside. We have no bugs. And I'm just going to say, I have 4 kids in my family. We have 2 dogs in our house. We are coming and going all of the time. We should have bugs in our house. That's just really the way it is, but we don't because of Point Pest Control. And I'm so grateful for their consistency, their service, and the success of it. Now, if you call Point Pest Control and you mention Annie, you're going to save an additional 10% off, even off the top of whatever sort of deals that they have going right now. If you have termites, if you have termite damage and you need to have it inspected, Point Pest Control can help you with that as well. In Missouri and Illinois, of course, here's the number to call, 636-798-0023, 636-798-0023. Don't forget to drop the Annie name in there. Point with an E, pointpestcontrol.com.
We, without hesitation, recommend that anybody work with ThrottleNet. The experience will be as good as it's been for us, for anybody, because you'll get a true partnership and you'll be able to rest easy that you're going to get the service that you need while they're also doing all those things that you don't want to have to think about, that you don't want to have to worry about. They're always doing that in the background for you.
Don't wait for your next IT crisis. If your business depends on technology, you need a partner that's got your back. Contact ThrottleNet.com to get a free IT evaluation and see how we can support your IT everything.
I met my wife in law school at the University of Florida. She was from upstate New York and I was from Kentucky. We met at a daily mass at St. Augustine's. She was the most beautiful girl I'd ever seen in my life. After communion, I followed her out of the church and got her phone number. The rest is history. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Little did we know that one day we would have 4 children and the largest injury firm in the world. All 4 work in the business. It's a family business. Did I ever see this coming? Hell no. We just worked very hard and treated our clients like we would want to be treated, like family. It's a full-service injury firm: auto accidents, medical malpractice, workers' compensation, Social Security, and insurance disputes. We're open 24/7, 365 days a year. Visit forthepeople.com and we can get to work on your case. No recovery, no fee. Morgan & Morgan, for the people. Injured? Dial #law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Could you make $500,000 in retirement savings feel like $1 million, or $1 million feel like $2 million? You could. But the key is having a comprehensive financial plan for taxes, Social Security, inflation, healthcare, income, and more. It's Sue Thomas. And if you want to discover how you could make your money go a lot further in retirement, try this 3-hour adult education class called Retirement Planning 101. It's a one-night class. It's taught by a fiduciary advisor from Financial and Tax Architects with decades of financial planning experience. They are held at colleges and libraries throughout St. Louis. There's no cost, but they ask that you bring 3 canned goods for St. Louis Crisis Nursery. If you have saved $300,000 or more for retirement, register by calling 314-947-2012, 314-947-2012. That's 314-947-2012.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is celebrating 55 years of residential and commercial service, maintenance, and installation of heating and cooling systems. Get in your comfort zone. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
The Foley Foundation works tirelessly to bring American hostages home. Kim St. here. We're raising awareness about the Foley Foundation's mission to reunite families, hold captors accountable, and prevent future hostage taking. Visit 971talk.com/events to learn more.
You're listening to The Annie Fry Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
A tariff is a beautiful thing, but it's got a bad image. It needs you to fix the image. A tariff, we stop wars with tariffs. No. I mean, I had cases where I told a country that were being very aggressive with another country, had nothing to do with us. I just don't like seeing dead people, okay? And they were going to go to war, and I said, if you go to war, and they do a lot of business with the United States, I'm putting 100% tariff on everything you do, any business you do with us. No, this has nothing to do. I said, it does have. I stopped a war. Will I get Nobel Prizes? Never. I mean, look what we did with the Abraham Accords, how good that was. But you can stop wars with tariffs.
So Donald Trump, President Trump, talking about tariffs there on Kudlow on Fox Business. Of course, we've known since the campaign that Donald Trump is very fond of tariffs. He says it's the most beautiful word in the English language. Now, today is the day. He calls it Liberation Day. And you know that we are not economists here on the Annie Fry Show. We have to go to experts, and we sit and take notes and listen. So we welcome onto the show Charles Gasparino, Fox Business senior correspondent and also a New York Post columnist. Charles, welcome back to the show. Thank you for being with us here today.
Thanks for having me.
So, we know where Donald Trump is at, and we were saying a little bit leading into this, it's hard to listen about tariffs and not hear somebody advocating. So I want to know from you, in your understanding of what Donald Trump is trying to do, but also as an economist, what you think is going to happen here in the wake of Liberation Day.
I think he's going to announce 20% across the board tariffs. This is what I think, based on everybody I talk to. I think he's going to say that they will be reciprocal in the sense that if the countries are willing to come to the table and reduce their trade, and it's not just tariffs that countries hit us with. They hit us with all sorts of trade barriers that will reduce these. We'll adjust based on the negotiation. And I think he's going to lay out just how unfair the trade situation is. Now, here's where it gets sort of interesting and complicated. This is a recipe for massive short-term pain. And I don't mean just the markets trading off. I mean, we could get stagflation in the short term until these deals get sort of arranged. and that means that you have both higher prices and a slowdown in the economy, a recession, and that could happen soon. And you're going to get definitely some market turmoil on that. But more than that, that's pain, economic pain. Now, he's going to make the case there's long-term gain, and it's going to be worth it. Although you just can't help but think this taken to its extreme, which is where I think we're going. This is the first. I mean, this is going to make the Doge controversy, has the potential to make the Doge controversy look like, a walk in the park. Do you see what I'm saying here?
Yeah.
This could be real economic upheaval, given just how, remember, all these countries buy our stuff, we buy their stuff. It's a chunk of GDP. I mean, you start, causing inflation, and then when you can't sell our stuff overseas, that depresses prices. By the way, automobiles, for example, it'd be nice if all the parts were made here, but they're not. They're made overseas, so that adjustment is going to take forever. You know what I'm saying? This is hairy stuff.
Yeah. So we're speaking with Charles Gasparino right now, Fox Business senior correspondent. You said that adjustment's going to take forever. I would ask you: is it an adjustment that needs to be made? And if it does need to be made, is Trump's approach to it brash? Or is this, you got to rip the Band-Aid off. You got to figure out a way to make the adjustment to where we are building, manufacturing, employing in the United States again, or in an increased faction. Is this an adjustment that Trump has identified that does need to be made?
God, I don't know. I mean, listen, there's no doubt that we're at a disadvantage in terms of trade. And so in that case, he's on very strong grounds. The question is, should he have come out of the gate doing this? Should he have gotten the tax through? Should we build a very strong economic foundation of lower regulation, tax cuts through, get Doge working, cutting the size of government, and then go into tariffs? There's a case to be made. That's what he should have done, because this tariff thing has the potential to be really disruptive. And but then again, if everybody comes to the table by the summer, it's going to be over.
Well, that's kind of what I wanted to follow up and ask you is you're giving us the perils that might ensue here. And I appreciate that, because if for people like me who aren't economists, if you only dip in the politics side of it, you just pick your politician that you like and they say nice things and you go, that sounds great. But there are also hard times. You said, I wrote it down, massive short-term pain was the phrase that you used. So you've kind of set the tone here of this is how this could go. But is there a flip side that you as an economist see where this could go really well for the United States?
If everybody comes to the table like tomorrow, yes, yes. This thing could be over. But things don't work like that usually.
Yeah, then nothing goes fast. It seems like. Do you think is Trump using these tariffs as a negotiating tool, a means to an end, or is the tariff the actual end that he's looking to achieve?
They're the means, I would say. I would say, and I think if everybody comes to the table, everything will be hunky dory. But I just think my bigger point is this. I'm not saying we shouldn't go there. I'm not saying it's everything. I'm not saying that we're going to, everything's going to be, we're going to have the Great Depression, hitting us tomorrow. I'm just telling you the next couple of months, if he does what everybody thinks he is, and, he's talked about tariffs. I mean, the numbers are anywhere between 15 and 25. People thinking 20 is across the board. That's pretty draconian, because then we'll get hit, and then the games begin,
Yeah. Charles Gasparino speaking with us right now. He's the Fox Business senior correspondent and a New York Post columnist. You mentioned the tax cuts a little bit earlier about, the prioritization or the ability to an act of Congress. It's not easy to do, especially with the slim majority that the Republicans currently have in the House and the Senate. We need to get them to take up these tax cuts and finish the job here. Do you expect those tax cuts, the Trump tax cuts, to be made permanent? And how soon, if so, do you expect them to be able to get that done?
I think we're closer to getting it done because the Republicans held a couple seats in Florida, right? So if we lost those seats, that would have been a real problem. So it looks like we're going to get something done. We're going to get a budget that includes those taxes. So I think that's good news. It's going to take some negotiating. We do have a deficit we have to deal with. I wonder if all those other stuff like the no tax on tips will get through because we're talking we're talking about we still have a $38 trillion debt, a $2 trillion budget deficit, but I think the Republicans keeping those seats, that was a good thing.
Yeah.
I think the markets are reacting a little bit to that today. But make no mistake about it, this other stuff could be pretty hairy. If you just look at the automobiles, this is fascinating. Dan Ives is a very good analyst, Wedbush. This is what he talked about. He basically wrote this. He says that the tariffs will cause pure chaos to the global auto industry. And he's not necessarily an alarmist type guy. I know the guy personally. And will raise the prices of a typical car to the U.S. consumer by $5,000 to $10,000 out of the gate. We stress that the concept of a U.S. car maker with parts all from the U.S. is a fictional tale that does not exist and would take years to make this concept a reality.
Yeah.
We're talking high-end $15K. He says.
That price is a lot of America out of being able to afford those cars.
I'm just saying, man, that's a lot of money.
Yeah. So I want to kind of wrap this up by laying out everything that the Trump administration has been doing actively at this point. When it comes to the economy, of course, today the heavy focus is on tariffs. Donald Trump is putting everything into motion. He's been saying this is going to happen on April 2nd for a while. We've talked a little bit about the Trump tax cuts, needing to make those permanent, some of the extra measures that you've discussed, as well as the no tax on tips and overtime and so on and so forth, but also adding in the factor of DOGE and the $37 trillion of deficit that we have right now. However long you've been watching the politics that surround, the economy and how politicians can affect the outcome of the economy, is this a transformative approach to how the United States is status quo of how we function economically in this country, the way the Trump administration has put a lot of these things in motion, and we're 2 months in?
Oh, yeah. I've never seen anything like this. I've covered I've been around for 35 years covering economics, and this is another level. Now, you can make a good case that it needed to be done. There's no doubt that we needed to straighten out our trade relations. I think one of the things we're going to see today is just how uneven it is. I think that's going to surprise a lot of Americans. That how our friends are very protectionist. They are not free traders. They're screwing us a lot. I think we are going to see that today. But the medicine to straightening that out, because we've been stuck in this rut for a long time. We've been doing it this way forever. 180 that is going to be, man, it could be really nasty.
Is there a point where you think that the Trump administration would go, man, I just really saw this going differently? Is there a point where they say uncle and then they back off the tariff thing?
I was wondering, maybe some of the market stuff would because it hasn't really seeped into the economy. It's more or less in the markets. I can't tell you that. I just don't know. I don't have that level of detail. If President Trump survived the bullet attempt to the head, he survived lawfare. He was an underdog in this election, and he won. When that happens to somebody, you do develop a degree of intestinal fortitude, like there's nothing wrong. And so, he may be willing to play real hardball, long game on this.
Yeah, and he doesn't have a re-election in front of him, so.
And he doesn't re-election. But the suffering of the American people is no fun. That's I mean, he's not an. One thing I do know about Trump, he does care about average people. I know that for a fact.
Yeah. Well, Charles, we appreciate your time today. There's a lot of politics that get talked about before people get, down to the stuff that really matters. And we really appreciate you coming on and giving us the info straight the way you see it.
Yeah, I mean, and we don't know. We still don't know exactly. I say 20%. We'll see.
All right. Well, we will watch, and we appreciate your time today, Charles Gasparino. Thank you. Please come back again soon.
Anytime. Thank you.
Bye-bye. It's pretty straightforward.
I was writing down quotes left and right because he was given a lot of really good ones. And one of them that I wrote down was, we've never seen anything like this, but you could make the argument that we needed to do this. That applies to so much of what Trump is doing, especially economically, with Doge, everything else. That could apply to almost everything that he's doing.
Kind of talked about this a little bit yesterday, but again, I don't know what I'm talking about from the economy. You know how come my opinion matters? Because I'm part of the economy, but no more than anybody else's. I don't study this. I didn't go to school for business or anything like that. I'm a talker. I get to talk to you, but I also have the ability to talk to people who know things and bring them here to you. That's my job and my role and responsibility in this. I know there have been times, we were kind of discussing this before. Charles Gasparino's been on our show before, and my recollection of that conversation was he was super not a Trump fan. And
it was a while ago.
Yeah, but I mean, first term.
Yeah.
But I've heard him since then be softened to that. I also don't want to have people on the show whose leading intent is to explain why Trump is right.
That's very respectable.
Thank you.
And normally I wouldn't say that about you.
I know.
That's
why I said thank you. I think it's important because we're adults, we're grown-ups here. This tariff situation, going back to the YouTube poll yesterday, I am unsure. I am unsure and hopeful. And if I'm going to put my trust in a politician to know something about this particular issue and to get us through, there's no way out but through, to get us through this mess that we have put ourselves in. I trust Donald Trump. And I'm willing, as an American tax-paying citizen voter who cares deeply and the most about the future of this country for my children and hopeful grandchildren and so on in the future, I care enough right now to trust him to address something that no politician has ever had the cojones to address in my lifetime. Cutting, recalibrating, and doing it with the understanding that it is 100% in the ideology of America first. That's been the missing ingredient. The missing ingredient has always been America first. Not rubbing elbows and, you've got to D.C. or inside the Beltway. We're going to tell you how things really go once you get in here. He is the orange Kool-Aid man, walking into D.C., walking through the wall, leaving an impression everywhere he goes so that everyone understands this is not business as usual. So I understand people, everyone talks about the stock market like they like what they can predict. They don't like the unknown. They don't like instability. This moment is all of those things. But if you like the predictability and the stability of a deficit that's going to go up by $1 trillion every year or whatever it ends up being, I'm not for that. So if there has to be some disruption, disrupt away if you are clear-eyed on the goal and the mission in front of you. And if you have a principled approach, an America First approach, I got to put my money on somebody because I sure as heck can't do it myself. My money's on Donald Trump, literally. Well,
yeah,
I guess
all
not.
of our money is.
I like in the betting sense, literally. I hate when people use the word literally.
No, it is, though, because our currency really is going to depend on what happens right now for the rest of our lives.
I also think, and I'm just telling you this as I would never think to tell any of you what to do, but if you have a little trepidation about this, it's okay. You can't just blindly be like, well, Trump said it, so it's good. Like, you can be worried about it and hopeful. There's nothing wrong with that. Barack Obama was president for 8 years because he said blah, 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 hope, hope, hope. So let's just do it for like a couple of months.
That's the title of this hour.
What? Blah, blah.
Blah, 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 hope, hope, hope.
Jeez, nobody's going to listen to that podcast.
Well, we'll see. There's only one way to find out, and that's to do it, just
That's
like
a
Trump.
quote you can put in the description.
We'll see.
If you want to support me, you can go to anniefryshow.com/podcast and please just click on the playlist there and listen to it so it doesn't. Ryan, this sucks. Ryan gets to title all of my podcast episodes.
It's great.
And
Yeah.
I get alerts for every single one of them, and every day I'm like, It's usually Wiggins.
Yeah, that's the title of most hours.
Blah, 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 hope, Wiggins.
Wiggins Schools Annie, Part 3.
Part 645. All right, Wiggins America.
Yeah.
Back. Foods that are banned in other countries, but not in the United States. I'd imagine there's a few.
Little maha we're going to do here and go through some foods that I'm going to ask really just kind of in a fun way. Would you be willing to live without this?
Okay, I'm all for it. And here's a request to you on the Annie Fry YouTube live chat. Come to our live broadcast right now. First vote in the poll. Do you support proxy voting for Congress? Yes. Yes for new parents. That's the Anna Paulina Luna not scandal, but kerfuffle maybe. Yes for any medical concern, or no, you don't support proxy voting. If we get to 300 votes by 2 o'clock, by when we open the phones in the 2 o'clock hour, we'll take phone calls on it, and you can reach out to us and weigh in on the air. So go vote in that YouTube poll. And the second request I have for you, if you come onto the Annie Fry YouTube channel, comment Maha people who you'd like to hear on the show. None of us in here are experts at Maha, but I think we're all interested, wouldn't you say? Like, you want to know more? So if you have, yes, RFK Jr., Brad, get right on that.
Been on that.
Secondly, after RFK Jr., who else might you like to see us talk to regarding the Maha movement? We have a lot of questions, and we want experts to give us answers. Wiggins America next. Don't go away.
Hard done by you.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Looking better, baby. Just passing through.
Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
Civia Law online at civialaw.com. Todd Civia, this guy understands how to get the job done. When you make a phone call to 833-995-WILL, 833-995-WILL, you sit down for that strategy session. In 2 weeks, he can have you completed documents where your trust is all put together with a nice little bow and handed over to you, and then you're done. You can have, if you've got like a will that's been put together, some sort of estate planning that's been done, but folks, gosh, times change, circumstances change, assets change, families change. If you need to have your will looked over, you can call 833-995-WILL and have him start there. So you don't have to start from scratch. You've got something put together. Make sure that it is done the right way, the smart way, the Civia Law way. That's how my family went through and put together our trust, and I encourage you to reach out to him to do this as well. 833-995-WILL, 833-995-WILL, civialaw.com.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon for New Perspective Senior Living, where your loved one will enjoy chef-prepared meals, engaging activities, state-of-the-art technology, and a welcoming community that feels like home. Visit npseniorliving.com to schedule a tour today. New Perspective, where every day is a chance to live life on purpose.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free no-risk consultation. 800-285-8939. 800-285-8939. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. 800-285-8939.
Who has the most 5-star reviews in St. Louis? Is the Post-Dispatch Window Retailer of the Year, J.D. Power Award winner 5 years in a row, and has the nation's best warranty coverage? Renewal by Andersen, that's who. Take advantage of our great April sale. Buy one window, entry door, or patio door and get the next 50% off with 0 payments and 0 interest for 12 months. Check it out at rbastl.com or call 314-332-1924. Renewal by Andersen, a better way to a better window.
The YouTube live chat poll today is, do you support proxy voting for Congress? This is a big issue right now with the House trying to figure out what they're going to do with these resolutions that are coming through about proxy voting. So your options are yes, yes for new parents, yes for any medical concern, or no. Let us know what you think about this. Be interested to see how this poll turns out. 12:50. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
It's election season, and you need the facts before you vote. Mark Cox here. Get my April 2024 Voters Guide, your go-to source for key races, candidates, and issues. Download it at 971talk.com.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Fry Show.
Wiggins! Oh! Wiggins! Let me ask you a question before you start.
Okay.
On a scale of 0 to 10, how maha interested are you? Make America healthy again. RFK Jr., all of that.
All of it? I would say
I'm interested.
I'm an 8 or 9. I'm very interested.
Ethan?
I don't know, I think it's important, but personal interest-wise, probably like a 5.
Brad?
I say 7, 8. I'm pretty interested.
I'm a 10.
Okay.
So I love this subject. I hope you
all
don't
of it.
it.
It's not just the food. It's
everything
that they're reforming.
Because the things that they say about like the stuff that's being put into your food that you're eating is working against your body. Big Pharma, I have questions about all of it. And I've never, ever, ever been a skinny person. I don't know about Ethan if you would agree with this too, because you're about 20 years younger than we are. But everything we were raised on was processed. Mm-hmm. There was no sense. I mean, I don't even think we thought about nutrition growing up. Like it wasn't a thought. But now it seems like everything that we're eating, there's such a diet industry that has built around ideas that we don't agree with anymore. Like everything that I've learned to counteract the things that we grew up with is now also bad.
Yeah.
I feel like at 40, I am at square number 1.
I threw my Billy Blanks VHSs in the trash in November.
It shows. Go on.
And I didn't even know what an apple was outside of a flavoring of Bonkers candy.
Bonkers candy.
The topic that we have today is foods that are banned across the world, but not in America. And so the way that I want to approach this is not just to share what is banned, but also ask you, because it'll be something that you could say, we just change the way that it's made. No. Could you do without this food entirely? That's the question we're coming at this with. Okay, so the first one, everybody knows, Fruit Loops. Banned in France, Austria, Norway, and Finland in the way that we make them.
Well, I was going to say, they're not banned. They just make different Fruit Loops.
They make different Fruit Loops. But that's why I'm, as the thought exercise would go, could you live without Fruit Loops is what I'm asking.
Doing a pretty good job.
Okay.
Although, they are delicious.
I don't like Fruit Loops. Never have.
Well, I don't like you.
There you go.
Okay, I didn't know you. So you're a Fruit Loop lover.
No, I'm really not.
Everybody always talks about Ethan and his Fruit Loops.
It has nothing to do with the Fruit Loops. He just doesn't.
He just doesn't like me.
Okay.
He was looking for an
They're
excuse.
okay. They're all right.
And Fruit Loops are great.
All right, Fruit Loops. We don't care as much about, I guess, without Ethan.
I like Fruit Loops.
The second one is U.S. chicken. It says that it's banned in the European Union because we wash it with chlorine.
Super.
Isn't that great?
That seems like an obvious. I would like my chicken grilled and non-chlorinated.
Right. I'd want the saltwater pool version.
Yeah.
You cannot eat much chicken in the United States that has not been routinely washed in a chlorine solution before it is market ready.
What?
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
It's to get rid of microbials, bacteria and stuff. And it
people.
works, but it also kills you. But the question then would be, could you do without chicken?
Yeah.
I don't think I could.
I don't know that I could.
I don't know
I was
if I
looking
could
at my
either.
diet. I mean, my diet is probably 60 to 70% chicken.
Yeah.
I just need to eat Greek yogurt.
You just need to eat Greek yogurt. But
I eat that as well.
Greek yogurt and protein shakes.
on chicken.
On chicken.
And
That's what I cook my
Chicken mixed
Kind of
in.
Greek
beef.
chicken, yeah.
Chicken in the protein shakes. And yogurt.
How about Mountain Dew? European Union and Japan will not allow our Mountain Dew to be sold there.
But they have their own Mountain Dew?
I don't know that they actually have straight up Mountain Dew.
That's the dichotomy that I'm super interested in, is how many of these different products have like we just start making that formula over here now. I will drink Diet Mountain Dew if I'm looking for a soda. I either drink that or the Pepsi Zero Sugar. But if I get a soda, I maybe drink 30% of it, and then the rest just sits there. I can't get through a whole
That's
thing of
how
soda
I am
anymore.
with beer.
I have not drank Mountain Dew in 14 years.
I thought you were going to say days.
No.
So you could do without it.
Why?
Would be okay.
Why? What happened?
This is actually kind of funny.
Obviously, there was a
Show
situation.
us
I
what the Mountain Dew
decided
did
I
to you.
decided to stop drinking soda in middle school after reading Tim Tebow's book and seeing that he did that. And the only soda that I will drink now on the rarest of occasions is Fitz's root beer.
Yeah.
I just don't drink soda.
Yeah, good for you. There's no need for it.
Yeah, I would be okay without Mountain Dew.
I would too. I'd never drink Mountain Dew.
I like it. Don't get me wrong, but I would be okay.
When I drink something like Mountain Dew, it's usually a ski.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, yeah.
It's not the same. I get that. Somebody's going to say, well, it's not the same soda. But,
No.
in that category, I like ski.
More of a tart
Yeah.
Mountain Dew.
U.S. milk is banned in Australia, New Zealand, Canada, Japan, and the EU.
What milk do you get in your house?
Whole milk? Is that what you're asking? Or
Yeah.
Yeah, just whole milk.
Like regular whole
Yep.
milk.
Yep.
What about you, Ethan?
No, you're gonna laugh at me.
It's been 15 years.
Tim Tebow told me not to drink it, so I only go straight from the cow.
Actually, I think Tebow might have done a Got Milk commercial. I don't know.
You might only drink milk. I get them. You're gonna laugh at me. I get the one with like the lighter blue lid at Aldi. I don't know what it is.
1%.
Okay, that one. Yeah.
Joe already knows your secret. Ethan says Ethan still Tebow's before every show. That was part of his hiring
When I
process.
wake up before I go to bed.
Yeah. Brad, what kind of milk do you guys get?
Terry gets skim milk, and I don't really drink milk. So it's like Prairie Farms skim.
We get Fairlife 1%.
That's the best alternative.
So good. And
You
it's
guys-
jacked full of protein.
Do you notice the difference between different kinds of milk? I don't
Oh,
really,
yeah.
I don't.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the
I don't even
Fairlife
really notice.
is, I think, lactose free as well, but it's got an enormous amount of protein in it, and it's not super high in calories, but it is not cheap. And my kids will go through one of those Fairlife jugs a day.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
But I would rather
Yeah.
them do that than be like they don't drink soda. They're not allowed to drink soda or anything like that. If they have a soda, it's like a treat. It's like you get that instead of a candy bar or something like that. But
You know what, little tip? There are some stores that sell really good milk that they don't advertise that it's basically organic, though. But you can look into it and find it. It's cheaper. Could you do without milk, though?
no.
I couldn't either.
Oh,
I drink
easily-
too much milk.
Easily could. do
Really?
it. Oh, yeah.
Last one is salmon, farmed salmon. Other countries, Austria and New Zealand will not allow our salmon because it's farmed, and they want only fresh salmon.
No seafood of any kind for me, so not a problem.
That's true. I actually love salmon. I could do
I do
without
too.
it, but
Big salmon fan.
I could eat more salmon, and I don't care if it's farmed or
I
not.
probably haven't had a bite of seafood since I was under 10. We'll be right back with Andy McCarthy and Jim Talent in the 1 o'clock hour. Don't go away.
Out of sight. All right, just move yourself and you glide like the sun.
Retirement Advisory Group is online at retirementkey.com, and you want to make sure when you are transitioning out of working into retirement that you've crossed all the T's, dotted all the I's. But it's about making the right moves with the money, the investments that you have. This is the expertise of the Retirement Advisory Group. They work with people just like you, especially if you've hit that, remember when you were little and you hit celebrate your half birthdays? Well, when you're 59 and a half, you get to celebrate your half birthday again. It's a very important age. And Bob and Tammy Kershaw, Thomas Helbig at the Retirement Advisory Group can explain to you the moves you need to be making to ensure you get to participate in the market upside and don't have to fret about the downside. 314-993-9494. That's the number you can call to set up a free consultation. Learn what they have to say. Choose to work with them or don't. Completely up to you. Just give them a call and schedule your appointment today. 314-993-9494. 314-993-9494. Online at retirementkey.com.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
Pushback from the White House. Lisa Brady, Fox News, after word that Elon Musk might be set to leave soon.
Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt calls the scoop garbage, responding to a report in Politico that President Trump is informing members of his cabinet and inner circle that Elon Musk will be stepping back in the coming weeks. Musk, who has become the face of Doge, is designated as a special government employee and by law is limited to working for the administration for no more than 130 days a year. Leavitt says both the president and Musk have stated he'll depart from public service when his work at Doge is complete. Politico reports some inside the administration are frustrated with Musk and view him as a political liability.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. After that report about Musk possibly leaving Doge, Tesla shares have been rising, even after the company reported its biggest drop ever in sales. The head of Boeing lands on the Capitol Hill Grill, trying to reassure lawmakers about efforts to address safety concerns.
Boeing CEO Kelly Ortberg acknowledging recent mistakes by the company in testimony before the Senate Transportation Committee.
Boeing made serious missteps in recent years, and it's unacceptable. In response, we've made sweeping changes to the people, processes, and overall structure of our company.
Those missteps led to several catastrophic incidents, including a door plug blowout mid-air after a plane left a Boeing facility without key bolts.
Fox's Ryan Schmel is on the Hill. The CEO says employees are being encouraged to flag any production issues. A federal judge dismisses the corruption case against New York City Mayor Eric Adams with prejudice, so it can't be brought again.
I'm now happy that our city can finally close the book on this and focus solely on the future of our great city.
Adams again denying the charges or any deal on immigration policies to get the case dismissed. America is listening to Fox News.
It's tax season, and at LifeLock, we know you're tired of numbers. But this one you need to hear. $16.5 billion. That's how much money in refunds the IRS flagged for possible identity fraud last year. Now, here's a good number. 100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it guaranteed. Oh, one last number. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit LifeLock.com for the threats you can't control. Terms apply.
Hey, fellow Gen Xers, it's Elizabeth Banks. Big news! The recommended age for pneumococcal pneumonia vaccination has been lowered to 50 and older, even if you're healthy. It's up to us to lead the charge. After all, we gave the world the internet. We're trailblazers. Let's lead the way again because we are at over 6 times greater risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Gen X, this is our shot. Head to VaxAssist.com and schedule today. That's VaxAssist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Unsettled skies as we go through the afternoon with gusty winds from the south. Scattered showers and thunderstorms. Some could be strong, but the hardcore thunderstorm event is southeast Missouri and southern Illinois. 78 for our high. Fading showers and thunder showers this evening. Otherwise, partly cloudy and windy, 52. Then we go into a wet stretch of mainly rain Thursday afternoon, Friday, Saturday, into Sunday morning. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Why do
the national tax resolution firms need the tiny fine print at the bottom of all their TV ads. Hi, this is Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. You don't hear fast-talking disclaimers in our ads because the claims we make are 100% transparent. The Lance Drury Law Firm primarily focuses on one thing, IRS problems, and we're regulated by the Bar Association, and we have a AAA rating with the Better Business Bureau. IRS issues are serious legal issues. The Lance Drury Law Firm has helped thousands of clients navigate the best resolution plans, and we tell you up front exactly how much it'll cost. Tax resolution law is all we do. So before you send money to some out-of-town, high-pressure salesperson, give us a call at the Lance Drury Law Firm, located right here in St. Louis. Call today to schedule your free consultation with me, 314-260-6120, or visit LanceDruryLaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
When's the last time you gave your home's exterior a little love? Hi, it's Kim, and if your siding is cracking, it's fading, or just doesn't stand up to our St. Louis weather, it's time to call Lakeside Renovation and Design because they're experts in James Hardy siding, which is this durable, low-maintenance option, and it looks beautiful. Plus, you have customizable colors and textures, and so you can give your home a completely new look while protecting it for decades. Don't wait until the small problems turn into big ones. Visit lakesidearty.com to schedule your free consultation.
Hey, it's Mark Reardon. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com. There's still time to join us for a fish fry, so if you haven't yet, we'll be at St. Mary Magdalene Church in Brentwood this week. If that's your area, stop by and say hi. The whole gang will be there from the show. It's the Mark Reardon Show's Fish Fry Fridays, continuing this week in Brentwood.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
What we're going to hear is a lot about this idea of reciprocal tariffs, as you just mentioned, the idea that, the United States does have the lowest tariffs virtually in the world. Mm-hmm. And as Trump has been saying, that these other countries are ripping us off. They're not playing by the rules of the game. It's not a level playing field. And, I'm a free trade guy. I believe it's beneficial to the world to lower tariffs as much as possible. If Trump's policies work out here, I do believe at the end of the day that there will be a lowering of tariffs around the world. Our tariffs are about 3 or 4 or 5%, and many other countries are above 20%. And so that just is something we can't live with. And at the end of the day, this could be a liberation from those high tariffs that these other countries are charging American-made, whether it's cars or whether it's our manufactured items or whether it's technology. It simply isn't a fair trading system right now.
So we had Fox Business's Charlie Gasparino on at 12:25 today to lay out some of the worries that might exist right now, some of the thoughts that they have specifically, that Charles Gasparino has specifically about what's happening with the tariffs. It wasn't a, stroke the ego of Donald Trump interview, but it was, an economist is going to look at this and think, these are the things that I'm worried about. So we were able to hear that. Steve Moore's been on with us. He comes on not every Monday, but most Mondays, and he's been not super pro-tariff for a long time. He will say every interview we do, I'm a free trade guy. He said it on that Newsmax interview as well. But what we were saying in the first hour here, economists like to know what is coming. They like to predict. They like to prepare. And what Donald Trump is doing right now, and Gasparino said this so much himself, is resetting the whole table. He's never seen anything like this. It is Liberation Day. What are you wanting to see? Anything, Ryan, specifically that you're looking to see most?
The number that he's going to announce, whether it's 15%, 20%, 25%, whatever that's going to be. But I don't think that the number is going to matter so much as it is psychologically, because what he's doing is just adding tariffs. Whether that's 15% or 25%, it's higher than it has been. And just like you just said, economists, no matter who you're going to talk to, whether they be right-leaning economists or left-leaning economists, they want stability. Economists want stability above all because it's more predictable. Donald Trump is not providing stability. So even if this is all fantastic, it works perfectly in the minds of every single person implementing it within the Trump administration, it's going to cause volatility because the markets like stability.
So we're going to watch and see if there are comments that are made on the Tariff Liberation Day focus, of course, for the administration today. We're working to connect right now with Andy McCarthy. We've got Jim Talent coming up at 1:25 as well. And I'm looking forward to having a conversation with him regarding these attacks that, well, one thing I noticed yesterday in Carolyn Levitt's press conference, she was asked, I think it was yesterday, it could have been Monday, she was asked if the Trump administration was going to go to Congress for authorization on the missiles that they're launching. And the reporter that asked this question said there was a bipartisan request made of the White House to come to Congress to further these attacks or whatever. And Carolyn Levitt said, can you tell me who were the lawmakers on there? I don't remember who the Democrat was, but the Republican was Rand Paul. And as soon as they said that, I thought, well, that tracks. One of the things that Carolyn Levitt said in that moment was that, a reminder, these are defensive strikes. There is this retaliation. We're being fired on in waters. Our ships are being fired upon. It is not a stable situation over there, and we are in a position where we are working to defend our country. And Jim Talent is always so great at laying out for us, ironing out the wrinkles in these situations so that we can understand a little bit better. First and foremost, before I have a guest on and I want them to advocate for what they think we should do, I feel like it's important to stop for a minute and define what is happening. Where are we in this? Because when Carolyn Levitt replied back, like, just a reminder here, we are firing back upon these people who are firing upon us. The amount of headline, top-line news stories that the Trump administration is addressing right now is mind-blowing. To keep up with all of these different stories, to watch what he's doing. I think, was it yesterday they said that compared to last year at this time, that border crossings are down over 95%. 95%. Do you remember?
Instantly.
Do you remember Joe Biden saying, like, I can't do anything without Congress? And then they tried to take Congress and say that because Congress wouldn't work with the bipartisan bill what was it, Oklahoma senator?
Yeah.
Langford,
Yeah,
maybe?
it was Langford.
Put this together, and then he ended up backing out of it. He didn't even support his own bill. Pushing for people to support this bipartisan bill, and that was all it was. And again, folks, it's the same thing every time. Every time. This is why you need to be very, very clear on what you're pushing back against when you're trying to win elections, because for the Democrats, it was never, ever about fixing the border. They didn't see the border as a problem. What they got was something to stump on politically, which is that the Republicans voted against the bipartisan bill. And it was it was put together by a Republican along with the Democrats in the Senate. There were Republicans and Democrats alike that supported this bill, which just streamlined the process of getting people into this country. It didn't stop them from coming here. It made the process to put people in here a little smoother. It's kind of outrageous when you really sit back and look at the problem they created, and they manifested what they thought was going to be some kind of political trump card, no pun intended, which is, here's what we're going to do. We're going to get the Republicans to put together some sort of bipartisan bill. We're going to be able to say that the Republicans aren't serious about border control, about border security, that they're not serious about the problem of people flooding into this country. We're going to make them hypocrites. And the entire intent of what they were trying to pursue there was the ability to politically say, we are the ones that are trying to refine the southern border. We are the ones that are trying to keep it to where it is safe and secure. We are fighting for you, and the Republicans don't want to have anything to do with it. We can't do anything if the Congress won't act. He said his hands were tied. It was literally within the week that he decided to, after the Supreme Court had ruled against his student loan forgiveness application, the week after he said that he couldn't do anything on the southern border with his own executive action, that Congress needed to act. The week after that, he, with his pen, tried to forgive student loans. He didn't have any problem trying to go to Congress for that. He found a way to do that, or did he? Did he even know that he was doing it? 95% decrease in border crossings. And then you pair with that the people who they are working to deport. And I think it's probably more slow going than they really wanted it to be. But here's the question that I have. For everybody out there right now that's fists to the sky screaming about this Maryland father who's been deported to this El Salvadoran jail, I'd be the first to say if that was a mistake, and I have said this before, when the Trump administration makes mistakes, they should quickly be like, that one was wrong. We want to fix it and rectify it. Because if you're willing to admit that you can make mistakes, people will trust that the things you're doing you really believe, and you're not just politically trying to be right all the time. This Maryland father, through a series of court proceedings, was determined to be a member of MS-13. Now, I think J.D. Vance said that he was convicted. He was a convicted gang member. He wasn't actually convicted, but in a court of law, a judge determined that he was a member of MS-13, and he came here illegally. My mind is blown that this Maryland father, I don't know what his name is. I just know that he's from Maryland and he's a dad. All of a sudden, being a parent to a child is really, really important to the Democrats. Who knew? That you're supposed to understand that in all of the people that the Trump administration is rounding up and shipping out of this country, you're supposed to be concerned that the Trump administration didn't vet the people they were deporting. You're telling me that in the very, very tiny number of people out of the millions and millions of people who came across that border under Joe Biden, you're telling me that somebody who was good slipped in the mix? And it was that small of a number of people who are being deported, who are being put on planes and taken to prisons in El Salvador? The Democrats are saying, how could you be this careless? How could you be this heartless and not properly vet all of the people who you are sending out? Due process. Don't you take the time to get to know who these people are before you take actions? Where the hell was that thought when you opened the doors on the southern border and let everybody in? Did you vet all of those people? Did you pay attention to all the statistics of the people who are coming across the border again and again and again, trafficking children, people paying to have their children come across the border just to be scooped up by coyotes who would rape them and traffic them and bring them back south across the border so they could get more adults to come back in? Where were you then on the, what about these people who are sifting through? You've taken bad people out, but you've got one of the good ones. If all of the people who came across the southern border, if you applied that type of attitude to vetting, to making sure that the people who are coming into our country were the good ones, then we wouldn't be in this mess anymore. We wouldn't have to be dealing with this problem. But you didn't care about that as a political point when they were flooding north. But you get your heartstrings all tugged and torn in a knot when somebody who is a member, who is here in this country illegally and a member of MS-13 is put on a plane and taken out of the country like one slipped through. Would you at least admit that people were slipping through our southern border left and right, up and down, into our country with nefarious intentions in mind to put us in this situation? It is hard. It is difficult. It is another moment where the Trump administration is willing to do the difficult thing for the end game of making sure that we are a safe and secure country. It is because of the Democrats that we're in this mess of trying to figure out who among us, is he a reformed gang member? He's MS-13, but he's changed since then. I'm sorry. At this point, not my problem. You've made the problem so big. You've inflamed this really to the point intentionally that it would be so massive that you wouldn't be able to fix it. And yes, now we have a significant problem on our hands. And again, if the Trump administration makes a mistake, they need to own up to it. Just say, we made a mistake with this one. The paperwork got messed up. Whatever the truth is, tell the American people the truth and then get right back to work. But spare me your heart on your sleeve moaning about somebody who got deported here because they didn't get proper due process. We didn't properly process any of these people who came into this country, and you did it on purpose. It was willful, it was intentional, and it was destructive. And now the Trump administration has to do something to try to rectify it. It's not a perfect process, but I thank God that he has the guts to do it. These sob stories, have you heard any? Has anyone said anything to you, Ryan, about, did you hear who Donald Trump deported?
Not directly, but I've seen people in my feeds, loose friends of Facebook and things, kind of bemoaning it. But these are the same people that no matter what, if you can find anything negative about the Trump administration, they don't actually care. That's what's so sad.
Isn't it interesting that I've heard people say things, and then I'm like trying to find any article. I don't care if it comes from like Media Matters or whatever. Find, where did you hear this from? Where it's like they're deporting citizens or something like that. And I try to find the article. I try to find the content. Or this Maryland father who was a gang member, is a gang member, came here illegally. When I hear about this, and that's all they focus in on, that's all they key in on, the entire operation is made negligent because they have one instance of where it's not going the way it should. That's what we've been saying about the southern border this entire time. You can't open it up because even one instance of somebody coming across the border who is a rapist, a child trafficker, a drug lord of whatever, we can't let people just come here unvetted because it's dangerous. We have a system. Maybe the system needs to be improved. Maybe the system needs to be relaxed, but we have to have a system. They kicked down the door and they said no. And now one person, one story, one anecdote that isn't, really, really hard for the Democrats to push against, where you're like trying to get these super hardened gang members who like cut people to pieces before they rape, whatever. That is enough to make them go, well, this is all bad. It's so hypocritical.
The Biden administration, the previous administration, brought in 10 million people, maybe up to 12. We don't know for sure. And then just goes, not my problem. You deal with it. You Donald Trump, you deal with it. They have deported over 100,000 people, and these are mostly gang members and criminals that they have focused on first. And if you can't see that who's to blame for these things, you're not having a serious discussion. You don't want to have a discussion. You want to score a point. That's all. And these are people. These really, back when it was Trump 1.0 and it was kids in cages, you cared, at least on the sleeves, you looked like you cared about people. And then the minute you got power with Joe Biden, it was all a ruse. They did not actually care about people at all.
Yeah, it shows. When we come back, Jim Talent's going to join us, the former United States Senator from Missouri. I'm going to talk to him about what is going on with the Houthi strikes. Iran is being mentioned in this whole ordeal. We need to get to the bottom of it. First, we'll do, as we traditionally do, we'll set the table with Senator Talent. What is happening? And then he'll go into, after I ask him a few questions, what needs to happen next. Is America safe? That's always an important question, and we're going to ask it when we return with former United States Senator Jim Talent.
Hot sun making me sweat. Gators getting close, hasn't got me yet.
This is the Annie Fry Show. The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
I can dance, I can sing, I
RulerFoods.com. Saving on your grocery bill is simple when you go to Ruler Foods. I want to encourage you to check out this week's Super Savers. RulerFoods.com will have all of these extra savings that you can enjoy. When you go to the website, you can put in the zip code. You can find the one closest to you. But shop this week's Super Savers at Ruler Foods. You can mix and match for just $5 on your favorites like Armour Lunch Makers, North Sides, Hunt's Pasta Sauce, Manwich, and Rotel. If you're feeding a family of 4 for under $7, you're doing something right. You can check out their Taco Night deals. They have you covered if you are looking to feed, Taco Tuesday. What is today? Wednesday. Taco Wednesday works just as well for me. I have no problem with that. You can enjoy hearty lasagna dinner for 12 servings with just $15. Save on your grocery bill at Ruler Foods and find the one closest to you, maybe closest to your home, church, work, whatever it might be. Go to Ruler Foods and see what I've been talking about for so long. Online at rulerfoods.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6986. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6986. That's 800-575-6986. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Farming's hard. To feed the world, farmers have to work the land, brave the elements, and fight the battle against weeds. Weeds reduce crop yields, so prices go up and everybody gets less to eat. But 50 years ago, farmers got a new tool to fight weeds, glyphosate. It kills weeds while protecting the harvest. Time and again, it has been approved by the EPA and by leading regulatory bodies around the world. It helps enable practices that reduce erosion and keep soil healthy, which is good for the earth. Farming's hard, but it's a little easier with glyphosate. Learn more at go.bayer.com/glyphosate. Paid for by Bayer.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for the Honor Flight today at gsLHonorFlight.org. And for HVAC services, visit aircomfortservice.com.
On Iran, the president said he's also considering secondary tariffs if Iran doesn't agree to a nuclear deal. Quote, if they don't make a deal, there will be bombing, and it will be bombing the likes of which they have never seen before.
Okay, so that's Kristen Welker on Meet the Press talking about an Iranian nuclear deal. We're thinking about Russia, we're thinking about Ukraine, and we're also thinking now about Iran nuclear deals. We got to go to experts for this as well, and our friend Jim Talent is back with us. Senator Jim Talent, thank you for being with us today. Always a pleasure to have you here on the show.
Thank you, Annie, and thank you for calling me an expert. I've always thought of myself as an old meat and potatoes Midwestern politician, but I'll accept the compliment.
Well, I'll tell you, I know a lot of meat and potato Midwesterners who are also very much so experts in their field, as you are, Senator. Can you set the table for us just a little bit? When it comes to an Iran nuclear deal, we know that Trump was very, very aggressive when he was in his first term, and then the Biden administration came in and pretty much undid everything that he had worked for there. At least that's my understanding. Where are we right now with our ability to influence this sort of nuclear Iran?
Well, I mean, the president is squeezing from both directions, which is a classic tactic of his. On the one hand, he's offered them negotiations and says he wants to negotiate directly with them. Iran rejected that. And on the other hand, he's saying, look, we're not going to let you get a nuclear weapon. And he's right about that. I mean, it's the single worst thing that could happen in the Middle East. I mean, if you game theory that out, if they get a nuclear weapon, it's like North Korea except on steroids. And the risk of an actual nuclear exchange now goes way up. So That really has to be stopped. And the president, we're attacking the Houthis, and the president's just said he wants us to hit harder against them. That's the last remaining Iranian proxy, or the last largely undamaged Iranian proxy. He's stepping up the economic pressure, restored vigorous enforcement of the oil sanctions, for example. And then if you look at the buildup that's going on now, it's very clear what we are preparing to do. I mean, we've moved THAAD batteries. That's a long-range anti-air defense system. We have Patriot batteries into the region. There's a lot of cargo flights going on now between Asia and our air bases in Qatar and Bahrain. That's probably ordnance they're flying in. They've moved the Carl Vinson aircraft carrier task force into the Gulf. We've got, and this is an even bigger sign, we've moved 6 B-2 Spirit long-range heavy bombers to Diego Garcia. They're that puts them out of range of any conceivable Iranian ordnance. And then the president's just saying, look, if you don't break down your nuclear infrastructure, we don't come to a deal on that, we're going to hit you.
So can I interrupt for just a second? Because
sure.
I want to take this back even a little bit more basic so that I can understand, so our listeners can understand the gravity of what you're talking about right now. Because we saw the headlines about the B-2 bombers, and that gets people's attention, certainly, that all of this focus is being implemented in this region. When you talked about the Houthis, you just said there that they're like the last intact proxy of Iran.
Mm-hmm.
Can you, in a really super basic way, explain how Iran operates through these proxies and what they're trying to do? There's terrorism involved, certainly. There's just some tactics that I don't think that Westerners like myself can even actually imagine what Iran is capable of, and also for what purpose.
Well, Iran's goal is to dominate the region. They want to overthrow their quote-unquote moderate Iranian neighbors, the conservative Sunni powers. Remember, Iran is Shia Muslim. They're also Persian. They're not Arab. And the idea of a pan-Persian sort of domination of the Middle East is very old. They've been pursuing that both for nationalistic and religious reasons. And the operational strategy they settled on about 15 years ago was to build up, fund, and arm proxies. So Hamas is a proxy, Hezbollah is a proxy, Islamic Jihad is a proxy, the Houthis are, and they hit their enemies, to include the United States, but not just the United States, Saudi Arabia, Israel, of course. They also had an ally in Syria. That's gone now with the fall of Bashar Assad. And that way they could hit their enemies and claim they weren't doing it, that somebody else was doing it. And to this point, nobody's ever taken the logical step in response, which is to say, no, we're going to hit the head of the snake. But you're responsible for what these proxies are doing, which is true, and we're going to hit you. And now the president is saying, we're going to hit you. And which this has been needed for a long time. We could take it back even further and ask ourselves, what are our interests? What are we trying to achieve in the Middle East? Well, we want stability in the Middle East. We don't want it dominated by an anti-American power, and we don't want it dominated by people who have as their goal striking the United States, either here at home or our citizens abroad or our trade or our shipping. And that means Iran is the obvious and the biggest threat. And not just to us, but also the Gulf states, Egypt, Jordan, and, of course, Israel. And so we've isolated them between us and the Israelis, and now the Trump administration is going after the biggest threat that they would pose, which is if they got a nuclear weapon and the means to deliver it. And I really believe that between us and the Israelis, we intend to deal with this problem now, and it's long past overdue.
Senator Talent, in your mind, when you're thinking about if Iran were to achieve complete and total success, which is like probably something that keeps people up at night, but if Iran were to achieve everything that they had hoped for and dreamed of, what is their what is their manifest destiny here in what they're trying to do, with all the terrorism that they and all of these proxy groups that they're involved in? What are they trying to achieve?
They have a apocalyptic vision, if you will, of the future, whereby overthrowing the Arab regimes, destroying Israel, they can either probably not conquer those countries, but control them, impose their version of Sharia law, reestablish a caliphate, and usher in a new age of renewal for their version of Islam. And they really think they can do it.
Is
they
it
really
religious then? It's a religious motivation.
Yes, I would say largely, but again, it's also informed by traditional sort of nationalistic goals in the region, and they really think they can do it. I mean, because they believe, and the people at the top are believers in this, that Allah is on their side and will eventually vindicate them, and they're a stench in the nostrils of virtually now, I think, almost everybody else in the region. Now that Syria's gone, they're a major enemy. Now, they've been really wounded. They've been hurt. They made the mistake of attacking Israel directly. Israel responded and showed that Israel can take out their anti-aircraft defenses. And that's very important. If this happens, the likely course of battle will be the Israelis will go in first and take out the remaining anti-air defenses. That will leave Iran defenseless. And then we and the Israelis will go in bombing whatever targets our government has chosen. Now, that could be the nuclear infrastructure. It could be their port facilities, which would completely shut off their oil sales, which is all the economy, depends on. It could be an initial phase. Maybe before that would be taking out some of their spy ships and the logistic nodes they have in the Gulf by which they resupply their proxies. In other words, the administration will have a list of targets, and they'll choose. And it depends on whether Trump wants to go right for the nuclear infrastructure or he wants to step up the pressure by attacking lesser targets first. And there's a lot of speculation as to why the Iranians are playing it this way, why they didn't at least try negotiations as a delaying tactic. I mean, there are people who think that they may believe an attack by the United States would actually strengthen them at home with their own people. The Iranian people are very sophisticated and, for a Middle Eastern country, educated people, and they're very discontent with the regime. I mean, that's clear.
Yeah, I've seen those protests.
They want them gone, not for exactly the same set of reasons, but part of it really is that there are people that were used to, for a long time, to interacting with the outside world and having opportunities. We probably all know Iranians who have migrated to the United States, how successful they often are. They're professionals. And this is a people that does not like the way they're governed. And so the Iranian, the regime is on shaky ground as it is. The supreme leader is 85 years old. This is an opportunity, is really the way to view it, and I think it is the way Trump views it. He does not he's very reluctant to use direct military force, maybe more so than any president since I went to Washington, which was over 30 years ago. But he'll do it if he has to, if he feels that's the only option, and he's showing that by the way we're attacking the Houthis.
So we're speaking with Senator Talent, and so grateful for you to be here with us right now. You defined their mission as a nationalistic one, but certainly a religious one. And so for me, the way I'm processing all of this in my brain, if I can understand what is their goal, then you have to define what's your obstacle to that goal, who stands in the way. So is it a religious definition of who their enemy is? Is it just more of a land-based thing? And if you support the enemy of your enemy, how do they define who they're willing to attack? Would they attack the United States directly ever?
Oh, yeah. As a matter of fact, I was reading this morning that they were planning to attack Israelis outside of the Middle East, and that was broken up when the Israelis just took out an IRG, Iranian Revolutionary Guard leader who was in charge of all that. They took him out and has in Lebanon. So yes, I mean that's one of the ways they will probably respond is to try and activate cells they have around the world to attack us here at home. So
are they in the United States?
Countries. Yes, and of course they do assassinations abroad or attempt to do them. They're very serious about this. I mean, they really think they can do it because their justification is religious. They'll use any means. They're very dangerous. And obviously, if they get a nuclear weapon, I mean, people who have that kind of a eschatological vision are more likely to use the weapon, and it's harder to deter them. Plus, if they get the weapon, the Saudis are going to feel like they have to have one, and they could just go buy one if they wanted to. So now we get a multipolar nuclear Middle East, and that is not a situation that we want. So this has to be dealt with at some point. The Israelis would probably do it on their own if they had to, but their problem is they don't have the same capacity or capabilities in terms of heavy bombers that we have. So they need us for that.
Senator Talent, so obviously we have Obama, we have Trump, we have Biden, we have Trump. The way that the Democrats handled the Middle Eastern situation, specifically with Iran and Donald Trump, very, very different in their approach. Were they trying, do you believe that Obama and Biden and Trump all identified the problem to be the same and they were trying to solve it differently? Or did Obama and Biden identify a different problem than Donald Trump sees?
Well, I think you could say they identified it as the same, being Iran. But beginning with Obama, and Clinton was not this way, but beginning with Obama, he believed that it was possible to turn Iran into a responsible regional actor and that we could do this by negotiating with them. And I was, and all through those years, very, very critical. And Biden basically, through inertia, tried to take up the same policy. It's not possible because of who they are. In other words, they're not seeking the same things that we're seeking, obviously. And so you have to know your adversary. And so when we negotiated deals with them, or they would lift sanctions on them, and then the Iranians would take the money that we allowed them to have and use it to fund their proxies and attack everybody else in the region. The Saudis know that. The Gulf states in general know that. Jordan knows that. One thing that may help you a little bit is if you don't look the Middle East so much as countries and look at it as different groupings. You have your Shia radicals headed by Iran. You have your Sunni radical groups. That's Al-Qaeda terrorist groups. You have your we'll call them conservative Sunni states. The Saudis are probably the leader there. And then you have the others, and the others include the Israelis, include the various minorities, the Kurds, the Druze in Syria. And basically all of the other groups fear and dislike the Iranians, although the Sunni radicals will work with them under some circumstances. Hamas is Sunni, but they decided under the last leader that they would work with Iran. So I mean, it's the Middle East, Annie. It's very, very complicated, but at another level, this is kind of simple, which is we can't let them get a nuclear weapon. And the Trump administration is focused on preventing that now.
Yeah. Well, that's a really wonderful explanation. I think that you've colored in a lot of the picture for people to understand more of the why behind all of this. And, with the news updates that come every day, Houthis being fired upon here and they're firing on ships and all that stuff, it's hard for people to get that foundational understanding if it's never described that way. And I feel very grateful for that experience here. Thank you for the time today, and we look forward to having you back.
You're welcome, Annie.
Take care. Bye-bye. Senator Jim Talent, former United States Senator from Missouri, former Congressman, also chairman of the Reagan Institute's National Leadership Council. That explanation is very helpful to me, and I can think of times where Jim Carafano has kind of broken that down for us as well. But when you see for me, it's always, like I said, I had to break down, like, what is the goal? Does Iran want to dominate the entire world? Do they just want a specific area? Is it a religious jihad? What is it? So when you find that out, then you can figure out, if you know the intended goal, then you can start determining what looks like an obstacle to Iran, and then what would they be willing to do to remove that obstacle. And that's where the Trump administration and, of course, the United States of America, along with their allies, need to step in and say, well, we're not going to do that. All right, let's take a quick break. Go vote in the YouTube live chat poll. Let's discuss this when we come back. Do you support proxy voting for Congress? Anna Paulina Luna, I guess, successfully shut everything down yesterday in the House because she's advocating for new parents to be able to proxy vote for 12 weeks after the delivery of a baby. And a lot of people in the House, including Republicans, most Republicans, were like, no, we don't want to do this. The Democrats are like, we love this. So where do you sit? Do you support proxy voting for Congress? Yes. Yes for new parents. Yes for any medical concern, or no. Annie Fry YouTube channel. We'll be right back.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
Michael's Flooring Outlet online. Their website is igotfloored.com. That's how you find Michael's Flooring Outlet, igotfloored.com. I want you to consider using Michael's for your next flooring purchase. If you're buying carpeting, if you're buying hardwood, something like tiles or vinyl or whatever it might be, igotfloored.com is where you can peruse all of the different types of products that they have available to you. The Mohawk Smart Strand superior performance carpeting you might want to install in your home. You just want to make sure that you're getting quality, don't you? Isn't that what you care about when you're investing in this type of upgrade for your home? You want to feel that really fresh carpet under your bare feet. When you lay down on it, you want to be able to feel the comfort and the durability of that carpet. You want to smell that fresh new flooring smell in your home, of course, when you walk in and you're like, oh, yes, that's right. We just did this. It's kind of a shocker for the first few times you walk into home. Michael's understands that, but you want to make sure that you're getting quality and value at the same time. If you go onto their website, you can request an estimate, start the process there. You can also get an in-home estimate, which is pretty cool. They are in 3 locations across St. Louis, a family-owned and operated business for over 30 years. Michael's Flooring Outlet online at igotfloored.com.
Just hearing the word IRS can make people break out in a cold sweat. No one wants to deal with the IRS, and now you don't have to. The good news is Legal Tax Defense has been successfully negotiating with the IRS for more than 15 years. It doesn't matter how much you owe, whether it's $5,000 or $5 million. You deserve the best in the business on your side, and that is Legal Tax Defense. Even if you're working with someone else and just want a second opinion, there is no cost or obligation to call. They can prevent levies, liens, wage garnishments, even file back tax returns. And the best news about Legal Tax Defense is they won't take your case unless they know they will reduce or eliminate your tax debt. Call Legal Tax Defense right now for a free no-risk consultation. 800-285-8939. 800-285-8939. You have nothing to lose but everything to gain. 800-285-8939.
Homeowners, selling your St. Louis home is a big deal, and look, I understand selecting the right agent can be a daunting task, but it is crucial. Mark Cox here. There are agents out there who will tell you an unrealistic sales price just to get your business. And that's why I only recommend my friend and trusted agent, Gloria Liu, with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Gloria understands you need assurances when selling your home, not just empty promises. That's why Gloria will guarantee upfront and in writing to sell your home at your agreed upon price, or Gloria will buy it. You might ask, how can she make such a guarantee? Easy. Gloria knows how to market and properly price your home. Plus, she has a database of thousands of exclusive buyers, many of whom are looking for a home just like yours. Take it from me. Call my friend Gloria Liu at 314-325-6888. That's 314-325-6888. Or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
Hey guys, it's Mark Reardon. If you're struggling with low energy, performance issues, or weight gain, Game Day Men's Health has got you covered with testosterone therapy, ED treatments, and more in all of a relaxed man cave environment. At Game Day, you'll get a free testosterone test and consultation, all in just 1 hour. Game Day is the premier men's health clinic with locations in Chesterfield, O'Fallon, Missouri, and Glen Carbon, Illinois. Visit GameDayMen'sHealth.com. That's GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Get back in the game with Game Day Men's Health.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you've been diagnosed with mesothelioma, call us now. $30 billion was set aside for meso victims, and in most cases, your claim is settled out of court without a jury trial. Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
The YouTube live chat poll today is, do you support proxy voting for Congress? Your options here are yes, just straight up yes, yes for new parents, yes for medical concerns, or no. Those are your 4 choices for the question, do you support proxy voting for Congress? Find it by typing in Annie Fry on YouTube, and today's date will come up. You click on that. You can watch the show there and, of course, vote and participate in the conversation. 1:49. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
The Annie Fry Show YouTube live chat poll of the day is happening now. Tune in to the Annie Fry Show live stream. Vote and be a part of the conversation by typing in Annie Fry on YouTube. Subscribe and leave a comment. You're listening to The Annie Fry Show. The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Do you support proxy voting for Congress? What do you think of this? I'm not happy with Congress right now, and I'm just to be honest, folks. I don't know what Anna Paulina Luna is doing, and I think she should knock it off. The idea that you would be able to not have to come in to vote because you just had a baby. I've had 4 babies. I've had 4 maternity leaves. I understand the burden that being a mom and a congresswoman might put on myself, might put on my family. But where would that ever end? And the second you move into that slippery slope of proxy voting, what if somebody, good grief, Steve Scalise? Do you remember when I can't remember what it was that he came in to vote in, but he was shot. Mm-hmm. And then he had cancer, and he came and voted that one time. I specifically remember that. It was something really important. Might have been the tax cuts. I'd have to go back and look on that. But Vicky is saying they get maternity leave. I know they get maternity leave, but they're not voting. They want to, Anna Paulina Luna wants to be able to be a stay-at-home mom for the 12 weeks that most people will take. Not most people. That's not even true. Most people don't take 12 weeks. I don't think, I wish I knew the statistics on this. I got 12 weeks with all of my kids. The first one, I think I had like 4 or 5 weeks paid. And then the rest of it, we had to figure out for ourselves. Like, we spent our entire pregnancy trying to pay ahead on our mortgage so that while we were on maternity leave, we wouldn't have a mortgage payment, which was really the biggest chunk of change that, and listen, when we had Charlie, we had no money. I was making maybe $7-something an hour working. Well, no, that was when I came here. I would have been making a little bit more than that, but I bet you we were at the poverty line because Jared had gone back to school to be a teacher. He ended up going to work at Walgreens and being a manager at Walgreens, which was a great job. What a blessing that ended up being for us at the time. He was working all the time. He was working multiple jobs, trying to make ends meet while going to school. It was so stressful. I don't understand how, if you are not present on Capitol Hill and you are focused on your baby the way you traditionally need to be for the first 6 weeks, for sure. 12 weeks is great. And I wish that all women could have that experience. But for the first 6 weeks, when you're focusing on shifting your life and managing this, I don't know how you could be fully focusing in that moment on everything you need to be doing to be able to vote and proxy if you weren't there and present.
Yeah, I'm sympathetic to this particular issue. The problem is we just came out of COVID where you had everybody proxy voting forever, and who knows when it would have ended if Republicans didn't take back the House. And this is another step back down that road. Just like you were saying, the minute you start to allow this, then you're going to carve out something else for some other issue. You're going to carve out something else to the point where eventually nobody will be in Congress. And need I remind us that we've just been dealing with an auto pen president who you don't even know if he was signing these things. You could have at that point, and that's the president. This is 35 people that you wouldn't be able to really track where they were, what they were doing, if they were actually alive. You could foreseeably see a situation where a congressperson was at their death door, they're on their deathbed, and they had to sign an important piece of legislation.
They just did a vote. Was it for? I can't remember what the last vote that they just did here a week or two ago, and there was was it a Democrat in Texas who died?
Yes.
They died.
Yeah. Yes.
And his account was still tweeting.
Yes.
After he died.
Exactly.
So how do you have, rest his soul, but people, you have to, the person who is elected has to be doing the job. And if you're not in a position to do the job, don't do the job. I mean, I've been blessed to work in a career. I had, one baby while I was on the air full time, but the other times I was working a 9 to 5, 9 to 4-ish, and worked with the most amazing people who were they prioritized family. They understood the importance of family. This company still, and if you need to stay at home, if you need to work from home to take care of your kid, they are happy to allow you to do that. As long as you're doing your job, they're happy to allow you to do that. But it's if you're working in Congress and you're representing a constituency and you want 12 weeks to be able to retain your ability to vote like that without having to come in and do the work, I just don't think that that is what's best for the country. It's the slippery slope of, all right, this person had surgery. All right, listen, how many people today are taking mental health days? Mm-hmm. And listen, I don't mind people taking mental health days. I don't mind people taking mental health days if you're taking it because you need an inhale and an exhale. I'm kind of glad that we are in a society now where you are afforded that within the confines of your paid time off, that if you need a mental health day for whatever particular reason that you can take that. But what we have done with mental health in this country and aggrandized the entire mental health situation, are people going to be taking mental health days in Congress and proxy voting? I would imagine that would take less than 2 years to happen.
Yeah, it would happen fast.
And what about the people who, do the fathers get to do it? If you're adopting, do you get to do it?
That's a good question.
If you're not physically going through an actual labor, are you going to get to do it? To what extent does this go? And the slippery slope is too big for me. Let us know what you think. Annie Fry YouTube channel. We'll be right back.
For a lot of people, when they come in, they'll say, I'm usually much more active, but since I've been in pain, I've had to limit the activities I'm doing.
You're listening to Janelle, an arch support specialist at the Good Feet store.
So he came in and he wanted to be able to keep up, play sports with his kids. And from there, we figure out which arch supports complement those activities. I fit him with the arch supports, and as I followed up with him, he's messaged me and said, I took my kids to the park today. We're walking, we're exercising, riding the bikes, and those are all things that he wasn't doing before because he was in pain.
For over 25 years, the Good Feet store's arch support specialists have been helping folks to live the life they love without foot, knee, hip, or back pain getting in the way.
Our goal is to have that long-term change for them. That's what's most important, is knowing that you leave an impact on someone's life. And I like that.
Try them for yourself. Stop in for a free personalized fitting and test walk at the Good Feet store.
Visit one of our 2 locations, Creve Coeur and Shiloh, Illinois, and at goodfeet.com.
You've heard me talk about the wonder that is an Andrea's steak. I dare you to go to andreas.com and click on the menu right now. You will be going to that restaurant within a week or so, because the pictures of the steaks, look, they're not like a professional photographer who came in and painted the things like you see on those ads, like a pizza that's not real. These are just pictures of their steaks that you will get in the restaurant. Their large tenderloin steak, as in a filet mignon, 12 ounces. That is the best cut of meat I've ever had. So go to andreas.com right now, click on their menu, and just see what you might get. That's my temptation to you, because I know that if you go, you will end up going to the restaurant, which, by the way, if you have never been to Andrea's restaurant, it's on the east side, so our side of the river, Illinois. Make the drive, though, because it is worth it. It is the best steak you will ever have, I promise. It is made with Andrea's steak sauce, which is one of a kind. You can get their sauce in stores if you would like to make your own steak, but I highly suggest you go to Andrea's. It is all there at andreas.com.
We are here another year, 2025, and time to be planning and scheduling your air conditioning startups to make sure you're getting ready to go this summer and got nice, proper cooling, and no worries on if your air conditioner is going to make it through the summer. So give us a call. Early bird gets the worm. This is one easy number, Missouri and Illinois. The easiest of numbers, and that number is 314-293-2600. Again, if this is a little early for you, save this number in your phone then, in case you do need me or you do forget to have your system checked, and it does break down on you this summer. That number, save it, is 314-293-2600 or bartinman.com. That's Bart with a B, Inman with an I.com. God bless.
KFTK FM Florissant,
an Odyssey station.
A tariff proclamation. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. The White House just officially filing new 25% auto tariffs set to begin after midnight. Also setting up a new 25% tariff on all foreign auto parts entering the U.S. on or before May 3rd. This in advance of the president's tariff announcement this afternoon, including a new reciprocal policy. The White House is denying a report that the president's telling his inner circle Elon Musk will step back in the coming weeks. But since that report, Tesla shares have been rising.
Not only is Musk's work at Doge taking away from his time at the electric vehicle company, it's also having a negative reputational impact on the brand, with recent surveys showing that the brand's appeal is down among Democrats in the U.S.
Fox Business's Madison Allworth. A federal judge says thousands of fired probationary workers must be allowed back to work, though this latest ruling only applies in 19 states and D.C. based on a suit brought by attorneys general. An earlier ruling ordered a temporary reinstatement nationwide as that legal fight continues. Lawmakers are considering new limits on federal judges.
Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley says Republicans and Democrats alike have accused federal judges of going too far with nationwide injunctions on executive actions.
The Supreme Court can and should fix this problem. Unfortunately, they sit on their hands.
Top committee Democrat Dick Durbin says he can't separate this debate from President Trump.
The reality is that the number of injunctions issued against the first and second Trump administration are evidence of a president who is clearly violating the law.
A Republican-backed plan in the House to limit injunctions stalled this week, but could get a vote next week.
Fox's Jared Halpern at the White House. A state of emergency in Kentucky as the central U.S. prepares for more severe weather. In Kentucky, the governor says tornadoes are expected. He's activated the National Guard. America's listening to Fox News.
It's tax season, and at LifeLock, we know you're tired of numbers. But this one you need to hear. $16.5 billion. That's how much money in refunds the IRS flagged for possible identity fraud last year. Now, here's a good number. $100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it guaranteed. Oh, one last number. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit LifeLock.com for the threats you can't control. Terms apply.
Listen up, fellow Gen Xers. Elizabeth Banks here. The recommended age for pneumococcal pneumonia vaccination has been lowered to 50 and older, even if you're healthy. It's up to us to lead the way. We've done this before. music videos, fanny packs, even the World Wide Web. Let's do it again and get vaccinated because we're at over 6 times greater risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Gen X, this is our shot. Visit vaxassist.com and schedule a vaccine today. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Unsettled skies as we go through the afternoon with gusty winds from the south, scattered showers and thunderstorms. Some could be strong, but the hardcore thunderstorm event is southeast Missouri and southern Illinois. 78 for our high. Fading showers and thunder showers this evening. Otherwise, partly cloudy and windy, 52. Then we go into a wet stretch of mainly rain Thursday afternoon, Friday, Saturday, into Sunday morning. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
AirComfortService.com. You can trust Air Comfort Service to keep you in your comfort zone year-round. And I want to talk to you about the things that Air Comfort Service is doing that just go a little bit beyond comfort zone type of stuff. Corey and the team at Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation support the community and serve. And in honor of National Adopt a Shelter Pet Day this month, they're donating a bag of food for every AC Clean and Check performed in April to their friends at Open Door Animal Sanctuary in High Ridge. This is a partnership that they have that they're very proud of. I'm very proud to be able to tell you about that. So get your AC Clean and Check performed by Air Comfort Service right away. You can schedule this at 314-513-0091. 314-513-0091. Your air conditioner needs routine maintenance just like your car does. You need to think about how your AC runs during the summer. It goes every day and it works really hard here in St. Louis. This is a very important thing to do, and you get to help a good cause with Air Comfort Service in partnership with them while you do it. 314-513-0091, aircomfortservice.com.
Don't get lulled into believing the IRS is getting soft. It's just the opposite. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. We are being told by IRS collection officers that their higher-ups are demanding that they get more aggressive than ever. So don't ignore them any longer. Level up. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call the Lance Story Law Firm today and let us get between you and the IRS. We'll protect your rights, including your right to appeal or even your right to take the IRS to tax court. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney team who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Story Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis, or visit Lance, D-R-U-R-Y, law.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Lance Story Law Firm, 314-260-6120.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
We, without hesitation, recommend that anybody work with ThrottleNet. The experience will be as good as it's been for us, for anybody, because you'll get a true partnership and you'll be able to rest easy that you're going to get the service that you need while they're also doing all those things that you don't want to have to think about, that you don't want to have to worry about. They're always doing that in the background for you.
Don't wait for your next IT crisis. If your business depends on technology, you need a partner that's got your back. Contact ThrottleNet.com to get a free IT evaluation and see how we can support your IT everything.
Are you looking for an easy way to get a daily detox? Active Liver is the easy way to get a daily detox to keep you healthy and feeling your best. You can find Active Liver in the vitamin aisle at your local CVS or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
It's election season, and you need the facts before you vote. Mark Cox here. Get my April 2024 Voters Guide, your go-to source for key races, candidates, and issues. Download it at 971talk.com.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Fry Show.
Bob comments on the Annie Fry YouTube channel. Annie, Pete Buttigieg took 12 weeks of adoption for the adoption of his son with his husband. This is a go-to for people on the right to make fun of, because the implication here, the way they take it is that he took 12 weeks to breastfeed his baby and that it's absurd and everything. I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again here. I think that we should help fund adoption, and I think that you should absolutely get 12 weeks to bond with that child that you're adopting. I am for adoption. I am for making adoption affordable and available and accessible, and I understand the absurdity of Pete Buttigieg in the position of the cabinet, the president's cabinet. I understand the concern there that you would take that much time off. Like, how necessary can you be for your job at that level? It's a very, very high level. But I don't think that maternity leave and paternity leave, I think paternity leave is a good thing. I think it's a great benefit for private companies to offer their employees. I always think it's important to look at what kind of opportunities companies will offer the people who they employ. And I've had 4 babies. Now, Ryan, you guys had twins the first time around. So while I physically had 4 babies, I didn't have to do 2 of them at a time for a period of time. But I could not have gotten through that time without my husband being there. To the extent that we planned our daughters, they're born in July, May, and June, because my husband is a teacher and I needed him there with me. So our YouTube poll that kind of is spawning this conversation quite a bit on our YouTube chat, and we'd invite you to come join us with it. Do you support proxy voting for Congress? Anna Paulina Luna was trying to push for parents to be able to get proxy voting rights for 12 weeks when they become new parents. I don't think, was it specific to just women?
I don't know. I've never heard anybody mention the male factor, so I think so.
I'm not talking government here. I'm not talking taxpayer-funded public jobs. What do you think about the idea of paternity leave, Ryan and Brad?
I'm not opposed to it for a short time. I don't think that we need the full 12 weeks. I think the average is 2 to 6 weeks. Which is fine.
I was thinking a week, maybe 2.
I was thinking
Good
the same
God.
thing.
I mean, the baby's born. You may not even be home in a week. If the baby spends any time in the hospital or whatever, like, to think about paternity leave in the sense of having to be at home with the baby and you're like, well, the woman's doing that. She just had a baby. It is like, I won't get graphic, but the physical recovery that goes on with having a child is significant. So for me, that's why the 2 weeks, after 2 weeks as the person who's had the baby, especially if you've had a C-section, because that's a surgery and a kind of another level type of a thing. But the recovery there after 2 weeks, you're getting into your new swing of things at that point in time. But it's still super challenging for the woman to have to do all of the things that you have to do to care for a baby plus recover from being pregnant.
I think when we had our twins, it was 10 years ago, I think that I did only a week and a half to 2 weeks fully off.
Was it vacation time where you paid at Eddie?
I don't remember. I think it was just general. It all gets lumped together like in one vacation. I don't remember, though.
I haven't heard of paternity leave being like a paid compensated thing probably within the last 5 years, maybe.
Yeah, and so that was very necessary, I think, especially because it was 2 babies and we were very much not knowing what we were doing. But I don't know how to say this and not come off as callous. I actually kind of wanted to go back to work.
Well, for sure.
Because not to not be around the kids, but to just have my mind doing something else.
Yeah.
And so that gets lost in the process too. That I think having it available if you want to take that time off, that's one thing. But I think a lot of people, a lot of guys at least that I know, would prefer. It's not that you don't want to help at home. It's that you don't want to just help at home.
Well, certainly, but men have that option. Women don't.
Yeah. And that was the question though about.
That's an honest statement.
Paternity.
And every man out there knows exactly what you're talking about. The relief of being able to go do something productive that isn't the demanding schedule of that. And again, twins. Oof. But the woman doesn't really have that, especially if she's breastfeeding.
It's funny that you said you had your kids at the right time so that your husband was off work for the summer. That's exactly what we did. She's a teacher, so our kids their birthdays are all May and June.
Yeah.
So that we would have the whole summer. She would have the whole summer off no matter what. So we never really dealt with the maternity-paternity question because she was going to be off no matter what. And that was by plan, but
that's her. That's not him. We did it.
Yes.
Because I had 12 weeks. Some of it was paid. Not all of it was always paid. It was different every kid I had. It's different for her as the teacher to do that and have summer off because I know a lot of teachers who will have those babies in February.
I guess that's true. we didn't really think that through very well, did we?
That you would have it so you would get a leave and then you would get a summer. But the difference being for us that I needed him home. He, of course, being the teacher. So do you guys have anything against paternity leave?
No.
Especially in the private business, no. I don't like anything that's mandated. But if a business decides this is what we're going to give you, I think that's great.
Do you think that offering 2 weeks of paternity leave for public workers is bad?
No.
I don't think it's bad.
I don't think it's bad.
What do you think,
But I
Greg?
also think that's where it should be is 2 weeks.
Yeah, I don't think that there's anything wrong with offering public. I think the public should mirror the private sector, though.
Like the majority of what the private sector enjoys.
Right.
It shouldn't set the tone.
Right.
It always does, though.
It does.
It always does. No matter what it is. Oh, we're going to have a new holiday. The federal government's going to go first, and then everybody's going to come along later. No matter what it is, the federal government is going to lead on some sort of benefit. They always do. Because they're playing with your money, your money and their time.
When you think about all of the things that we look to subsidize, I should say, or to encourage, and this is where Marco Rubio in 2016, he talked about families. He talked about investing in families. He talked about the future of America through the lens of family. And that was new to me, to my ears. That was a new concept, that you'd really focus on what our future looks like by way of the creation of people who will live that future. I think that that's a really important thing. And at the same time, I also think that the family unit, the existence of a married couple and a family unit being upheld and being supported, we have a government structure in our country right now that cannot wait. The government cannot wait to step in and fill the responsibilities for the people who step out of those responsibilities. It makes it too simple. And we're talking a lot today with the Liberation Day and tariffs and everything about doing the hard things to get through it so that you can be on the other side and have a reset system. I'm not in favor of leaving anybody high and dry. I'm not in favor of abandoning mothers who chose to have those babies and the dads don't show up to meet their responsibility. Like, that's not the answer here. But we don't have a government that really champions the idea of family, that champions the idea of marriage, of commitment, of the family unit being 2 people, being 6 people, being 12 people, whatever it is, as better than the alternative. There was on Outnumbered today, they were talking about these women, and we could find them, but you've all heard them, about women who are like, if you truly want to be happy, stay single. I don't know anybody in my life who's married who has a light in their eyes, who's happy about this. These people who have children, they're slaves to their children's lives. That if you want to be a truly happy person, stay single. Don't get married. Don't have kids. You can have, success beyond your wildest dreams professionally, money, and your time is yours. And that's the end of it. And I don't feel this great need to defend the alternative thought process to that, because that is such a foreign concept to me. I can't imagine my life without my husband.
Well, that mindset doesn't just apply to families. That is a mindset that says you first. It's really
Me first.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. You as in the person that you're talking to.
Self
first is
Yeah.
the way to put it. Self first. That is a philosophy being taught by whoever, the government, the media, shows, entertainment. That philosophy is anywhere you look. You can find self first because it sounds so nice. It sounds great. It's so attractive
For a
when you hear
minute.
it. Like that instant you go, why wouldn't I want that? And it's so easy to tell somebody whatever makes you happy because that's self first. And it's so destructive because you get into it and you realize you're not the center of the universe. And if you make yourself the center of the universe, you're just not going to be happy.
You can't maintain and grow and build civilization with that attitude. It will degrade so fast. I mean, Brad, to think about the push out there to just satisfy yourself in any possible way immediately and only and always, it falls apart so quickly.
Yeah, I keep going back to, I think it's Ecclesiastes, vanity of vanities, all things is vanity. Everything that, like, if you go out there and yourself is what you're pursuing, everything out there is just hollow eventually. It's just empty. That there's, you don't have anything to look forward to in life. You don't get to be a grandparent. You don't get to, you don't get to give of yourself or pour out of yourself.
Even have a partner.
Yeah. You don't get to do any of that. Why
are you laughing at me?
I hate to say this because it goes contrary to the character that I usually create on the show.
Oh, is this going to be thoughtful?
It is. But I have realized, really, within the last couple of years, how much I enjoy serving. Whether it be at church or I just joined my church's youth ministry.
It scratches an itch deep down inside you didn't know you needed to do.
It's so, yeah. And I never want to get up and go to church and be the Sunday school teacher, ever. Because self first.
Oh, it's a blast, though.
But once I do it, I'm like, this is very, very good for me. And it feels very satisfying to go out and
What
really
age?
just pour out.
What age?
But anywhere between first grade and fifth grade.
I cannot imagine this scenario. This sounds like a skit.
It is. It's crazy. It's not my thing.
First grade?
Well, that's anywhere between the ages of my own kids is where I'll serve.
Okay.
And I don't ever look forward to it. But every time I do it, I'm like, this was very good. I'm glad that I did that. But it's this whole mindset shift for me personally that I've been undergoing that I need to be focused on how do I continue to push out and continue to pour out instead of pour in.
Have you ever been super giving and then hurt really bad and then just clammed up as tight as you could possibly clam up?
That's the reaction you have every time that happens, is if you get hurt, you're instantly defense.
You don't have to be detailed, but has that happened to you where like you've poured yourself into something and people didn't acknowledge it or it just went wildly south and you're just like, I'm never doing that again?
Yes, it's happened. I would say the most obvious place that it happens is in artistic endeavors. When you try to create something that you want people to enjoy or like or even participate in or whatever. This isn't quite as deep as I think you're saying, but
well,
it is.
I think everybody has a degree.
It's there, and when you create it and you put it out there for the world to consume, and the world just either doesn't care or takes a dump on it, whatever it is, you kind of recoil a little bit and you go,
Have you experienced that, Brad?
I would say I experience that sort of thing fairly regularly. I mean, I work in ministry, and there's great people that you serve in ministry, and then there's people that are there to see what they can get out of it. And that when those times happen, whenever it's like you've been there, you've poured your life into this person, and then they do something, and then they just flip on it, and they turn around and they tear you down, they rip you apart, they go out on their social media posts and they put all sorts of horrible things out there about you. It's really heartbreaking and heart-wrenching. I mean, for me though, the initial reaction, like you guys are saying, is clam up, stop, don't give of yourself. But I have to push through it. I have to fight through that feeling because that is not what God has called me to do. He's called me to serve in these positions, and so until he gives me permission to not serve in these positions, I'll serve in these positions, and I'll do it with my whole heart.
I think that the hardest part about that, and I've had to learn this the super hard way, would be like 8 years ago. We went through something very, very difficult for our family, and had to, uproot, move to a new church location and just rebuild everything. And everything that I thought was important got scraped away. And the way I've told this story before is, for me, all the prayers, all the begging God to do what I wanted to have happen was clearly not working. And when I finally got to the prayer where it was just like, will you please just give me peace with this? It's not going to change. It's clear that you wanted our future to be this. Will you please just calm my heart and my head? I don't even need to understand it, but just give me a sense of peace. And I got it. But it has been very difficult since that time to put myself in a position to be vulnerable again, to put myself out there and, work to do certain things that you interact with other people and you put in so much, you wonder if you're going to get back, kind of like what Brad was saying, like how much you put in, how much do you get back out of it? The thing for me, and you guys are both touching on this, like the need to serve, the need to be involved, or to produce something that isn't for self. You have to ask the question, why am I doing this? Because if you're out there serving for the glorification of yourself, it's like the Friends episode, the one where Phoebe is like trying to do a completely selfless act, and then like she gets about 2/3 of the episode, she's like, but when I did it, I felt good about myself, and so therefore it's not a selfless act. And she's like trying really hard to do something selfless, and it becomes difficult because of course you feel good about it. So if you put yourself into something and you realize that the reason you're doing it is for attention or for credit or for the type of spotlight that you might get for pouring yourself into that said thing, that is unfulfilling. But if you're talking, Brad, about you're being called to ministry, that's not what we're experiencing. I mean, kind of to what you're saying about Sunday school, but in a different capacity. But when you realize that you are maybe blessed with certain talents that can be applied in a very selfless way, and you just give yourself over to that, and whatever happens, happens, and you're not looking for the spotlight, you're not looking for the plaque or the award or the trophy or whatever comes along with that, and you start to serve that way, and the glory that comes from doing something good like that doesn't have to be yours, then all of a sudden it does become wildly fulfilling. And you don't constantly have to get your Mary Poppins measuring tape out to be like, have people appreciated me enough today? And you stretch it out, and every time you do that, it looks like, no, they haven't appreciated me as much as I deserve, because it never feels that way. When you put yourself back out there, especially if it's after you've been wounded, and you're willing to take the risk and the vulnerability that comes out with using the talents that you have to help something or someone other than yourself, and that glory doesn't have to go out into the world and bounce back to you. It goes back, and what we're talking about here, of course, is to God. I think that is the most, that's kind of, you had a big bright smile on your face, Ryan, when you were talking about that Sunday school thing. I think that's probably what you're talking about.
It's great. It's learning to just serve my family better too. It's the opposite of social media. And it's because you don't really,
social media is like our own marketing system.
Yes, it is. And I guess we're in a weird position here because we're required as our job to be on it and to promote it and, to seek audiences where they are and stuff, because that's what we do for a living. But I also know you guys personally enough to know that you guys are not really like attention hounds, and you don't put stuff online with the intent to be like, look at me. That's what we do. We communicate for a living. That's our job. But there's a lot that we do personally that's in service that nobody ever knows about, and that's on purpose. Because the minute you make it about look at me is the minute that it's not about the service anymore.
We're super long right now, but I want to add to the story. Last night, my son's baseball team, they won a game, bottom of the 7th. And it was so windy yesterday. There were a lot of errors. I'm not going to out them specifically, but my son's a freshman. He's DHing right now, and he was on deck in the bottom of the 7th, tie ball game. And the runner, the guy in front of him, got a hit. We had a runner on second, and Charlie goes up there, and he lays down a perfect bunt for a hit, moves the runner over, no outs. They ended up winning 15-14. 15-14. And it's just like a whole story, but that's fine.
13-run pool.
But when the local newspaper came out with the story, Charlie's name was in it. And I was super proud of him. And I was like, gonna share it. And I'm like, I can't do this.
See, I think that's fine, though.
But I couldn't. I like had the post half made, and I'm like, this is nobody.
The milestones.
Nobody needs it.
That wasn't service. You're just proud of it.
Well, it's like, maybe when it's not 15-14.
Okay. All right.
No, I'm kidding. I was proud of him. A win's a win. It goes in the win column. And honestly, the wind was whipping yesterday so much that pop flies were like on steroids. But to that point, when I post something about, like, if my kid is celebrating something and I post it, I feel guilty about it. And I don't do it.
Just do it. Just do it.
I should just start posting all the times I'm proud of you.
That's what you should do. Take pictures of me
Here's
out.
Here's what I'll do. I'll
Yeah.
post all of the accomplishments, but instead of saying they're my kids, I'll just say you did it.
Okay.
Ryan Wiggins laid down a perfect bunt.
And use
Bottom
my
of the seventh
use my
inning.
headshot.
I'm gonna put your head on top of my kid. I don't care if it's Molly or Charlie.
I'll give you a whole bunch of like Sears headshots. Of
Molly
me.
pooped on the potty. Ryan pooped on the potty today. Oh, speaking of toilets, I got a story when we come back. Don't go away.
This is the Annie Fry Show. The Annie Fry Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Take your pictures down and check it out. Truth or consequence, say it aloud. Use that evidence, race it around. There goes my hero. Watch him as he goes.
Stewart's American Mortgage Bagel Loan Guy. You want to know how to get a bagel loan? You reach out directly to 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. Stewie is the guy. Now, you reach out to him specifically, and you are going to understand how to get a bagel loan, which means you're going to pay $0 in closing costs. You are going to be able to get that new mortgage for the new home that you're looking to buy, or maybe it's a refinance of your current mortgage, taking some money out, little equity that you want to squeeze out of that house that you have right now for whatever purpose. You do that with the bagel loan, and you pay $0 in closing costs to get that done. This is a smart move. I have a fantastic rate on my mortgage right now because I took my own advice years ago and refinanced to get those super low rates. Stewie was my guy. If I had another reason to refinance, he would 100% be the person I'd go back to for the third time. Call him directly. Text him directly. 314-324-4440. 314-324-4440. Google the bagel loan, NMLS number 226715.
Does the state of this economy have your head spinning? Let GregHammonds.com relieve one burden, health insurance. Greg Hammonds at GregHammonds.com specializes in under 65 health insurance plans that have zero copays and no deductibles. You choose your doctors and hospitals. These plans have nothing to do with your income and are 30 to 60% less than Obamacare. These are also available all year round to those that qualify. If you have a small business or you're paying for your own health insurance, you're uninsured, you're on COBRA, or your employment coverage is just too expensive, call Greg at 314-794-7784. That's 314-794-7784. Or go to GregHammonds.com. That's GregHammonds.com. They can customize a plan chosen and managed by you, not the government.
Some people follow the rules, but where's the fun in that? I'm Soraya, and this is Rule Breakers, the podcast where we celebrate the rebels, the risk takers, and the ones who make their own way. Every week, I sit down with the boldest voices in sports, entertainment, and beyond to talk about breaking barriers, defying expectations, and rewriting the rules. No limits, no apologies, just real talk. Follow and listen to Rule Breakers with Soraya, an Odyssey podcast available now for free on the Odyssey app and wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Why should you hire America's largest injury law firm for your case? There's lots of reasons. Just like there's a reason millions of people called us last year in their time of need. When it comes to fighting for justice and compensation, millions of people across the country trust us to go to battle for them. We became the largest injury law firm in the world for a reason. There's only one Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com. Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
You're listening to the Annie Fry Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation studio. Time to schedule your air conditioner service. Get your entire HVAC system checked for $19 a month with the preferred partner plan and be ready for the first heat wave. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
Want to listen to 97.1 outside the listening area? There's an app for that. Download the Odyssey app, and one tap will turn the station on. The Odyssey app for 97.1 FM Talk. You're listening to The Annie Fry Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
All right. Toilet story.
Can't wait.
If you don't like toilet stories, then just cover your ears for right now. Keep the radio on, though.
Nice just to hear like what even happens in a toilet.
That's not what this is. Because that's what's on the toilet.
Oh, no, there's things on the seat?
I have never been more furious at the postmodern feminist movement to the entirety of postmodern feminism completely turns upside down the intent of actual feminism, which was to bring women into the equation where they had a say, an opportunity in the same way that men did. The postmoderns are women and their allies who are angry and mad and out for revenge. And they don't care the collateral damage that happens in their pursuit of happiness, which isn't even possible. I kind of sound like one right now.
Oh, man, I can't wait to see how this turns into a toilet story. I'm on the edge of my seat. It's like the movie Cliffhanger.
So I'm on the east side of the river, and this is funny because this involves me. I had to pee so bad I had to stop at a gas station in between picking up my kids and said 15 to 14 baseball game yesterday. And in the midst of this experience that I was having yesterday, I come out of the bathroom and there's this woman standing out there, and she had her hands folded like up by her chest and her heart, and she was kind of like shoulders up, neck tucked out a little bit, and she's like, "Are you Annie Fry?"
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, yeah. I was like worked up at this point, not involving anybody else. I just was very, very unhappy with the situation that I encountered. So I'm going to play on our YouTube channel. If people want to pop on there, you can see this. You can go back and look at it later if you want to, whatever. I had to go to the bathroom really bad. You're in a hurry. Listen, folks, I've had 4 kids. When I got to go, when it's time, you have to go directly to. That's just the way life goes. And I walked into this gas station, and I'm not going to out the gas station, but I walked in and I saw these bathroom doors. So I've got the video up here. I put this on my X account too. So if you want to go to the Annie Fry Show X account, you can see this. What do you see on the front of this door?
Male and maybe a female outline of a skirt.
And dude in a dress.
I would say that would be, yeah, it kind of looks like dude that's just a little wider at the bottom, but
your
male,
standard
female.
stick figure kind of circle head that goes on the front of a door. You got a man on a men's room. You got a woman. It's the man in a dress on the women's room. And that delineates who goes through which door. Does it not? But no, not this one. This is like modern. This is postmodern. We're for everybody. Bathroom.
Oh, so it's like if you're a woman but you're wearing pants, you can't use this.
Apparently, I don't know. Not in this room because you could be wearing pants, a dress, or as far as we know, no pants.
Or dress.
Ooh, yeah. So if you're a person wearing no pants,
This is the bathroom for you.
this is where you go.
Basically, what they're saying is, come one, come all.
Yes.
Because they're inclusive. Because they're part of this postmodern virtue signaling world that we live in, where you have to be for everything, where you can be for nothing if you're for everything all of the time. And so when I first went into this bathroom, and I had to go. You walk in, and I don't know how well you can see it on here, on this video, but the amount of urine that existed on this toilet when I walked in with the seat down, you can't really see it.
You can't really see it in the video, no.
You have to go onto my YouTube or my Facebook, Twitter, X, at Annie Fry Show. There, you can see a little bit of the glistening of the urine drops that are all over the seat. Now, I have to sit on that because I can't stand up while I pee. I can, but I would leave the bathroom looking like this if I stood up to pee. I am a lady. I sit down to pee. So you've got unisex bathrooms right now, and I thought this through, I saw a man come out of the bathroom. Come out of that one, and I'm like, I had kind of knew going in, the last time I was here, these bathrooms are boys and girls bathrooms. I saw a man come out of there, but just because the man came out of there doesn't mean that he's the one who did it by any stretch of the imagination. He probably saw that and thought, that's gross, I got to pee really bad, and went and did a great job, 100% aim.
No, it was probably that guy.
It could have not been. It's possible.
It's possible.
There is no reason why people who have penises need to be peeing in the toilets for people who don't. So I think that maybe what we should put on front of the doors now is just the body parts.
Me too.
And you can identify.
We should do that to all the doors.
Yes, let's do it. I don't care.
I'll get Sharpies.
We should not like that. I want these very nice figures that are up on these very like modern virtuous doors that say boys and girls can pee on the seat in here. Let's just make it about body parts. If you want to identify as whatever you want to identify, that's fine. But if you stand to pee, you go in this bathroom. If you sit to pee, you go in this bathroom. And after experiencing this and going, I went into the other bathroom to urinate. What, you writing down title?
Yeah.
God dang it, stop it. I went into the other bathroom, which was cleaner. Peed in there, came out, and then there's this lady standing there. Are you Annie Fry? I'm like, yeah, I am, and I'm going to be talking about these bathrooms tomorrow. And then she's like, which one should I go in? I'm like, go in that one.
Did you leave the pee on the seat?
I didn't go in the bathroom with the pee in the seat.
So she walked into the bathroom after you had come out and was
Here's
like,
what
oh my
happened.
gosh, there's pee all
Here's
over the
what
seat.
happened.
That was Annie Fry.
Annie has to pee really bad. She goes into first bathroom. There's urine all over the seat.
Okay.
And I was like, gross. Ugh, I'm not doing that. I'm not cleaning up. I walked out and went to the other bathroom. The other bathroom was clean. I peed in there, all of it in the toilet, came out, and thought, I'm going to video this toilet because this makes me so angry that urine from a man, most likely, I know there was
or
a man
really
in there.
drunk woman.
I mean, not even. I mean, it's like you'd have to be hovering. And there are bathrooms that you hover in. There are squats that you do as a woman. This bathroom doesn't need to be like that. It's a nice place. It's whatever. So I went to the bathroom, went into the other one to take this video that I have on X. And when I walked out of that one, and I was like revved up. There's a sweet lady. I think her name was Beth. Hi, Beth.
Okay, that's funny. But I think after listening to your woeful tale,
That sounds like you're mocking me.
that you
Because
are
you
looking.
because you don't have to worry about the pee on the seat
You're right.
at all.
We try it from across the room.
Which is how it gets on the seat.
Mm-hmm. Then we don't have to deal with it either. I think you're looking.
Weenies in one room, no weenies in the other. Stand, this one. Sit, this one. Doesn't matter what you identify as.
I'm not opposed to that. This is a public restroom, though. And I think you're looking a gift horse in the mouth. Because you only had pee on the seat. You know how much worse it could have been?
Do men hover to poop?
No, but somehow.
Yeah, no kidding.
Am I wrong?
No.
Somehow.
I don't even know. Stop it. I don't even know what you're talking about, which is more about my point. If that exists in your world, it has no place in even my understanding of what is a possible reality. That's for you dirty, filthy men.
I realize we're doing a little bit of X's and Y's here, but are you saying that never happens in a women's restroom? Because when I walk into a men's
Poop
stall,
on a toilet seat?
if there's no poop anywhere around, whether it be the walls, the floor,
I'm going to throw up.
wherever, I'm like, this is a huge win.
No.
You should see it in person.
No.
I would almost consider it a win, although not quite, that there's only poop in the toilet that nobody flushed. Oh my God. Because when I'm telling the truth.
It's it can be really.
I don't want to know.
Really bad.
Nobody wants to know.
But now
You've
I
said
understand.
enough.
I understand that does not happen to women. I didn't know that.
No.
I thought that was just a public restroom thing.
No. You might have toilet paper on the floor. Maybe the toilet that didn't get flushed from time to time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is that's a borderline win right there. Just that it's still in the toilet, but it's not flushed.
No. No.
Okay. Well, this actually highlights your point better, though.
See, Rick says, who stands to pee in a toilet with the seat down?
A good point.
Well, people. I can tell you who doesn't. I mean, weenies in here, non-weenies in here.
This really is your point, though. The way that men use a restroom, or at least a portion of men use a restroom, leaves it in a condition that women are not accustomed to. And therefore, we should have separation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I also think that women tend to clean up after themselves a little bit more than men would typically. Yes? Yes. The answer is yes. I'm not asking you.
I don't know that
Based
I've ever...
on the current conversation here, yes. I'm talking about in general. There is a standard that a woman would want to leave a place as she found it that I think women would adhere to more than men.
I would agree that.
We have to go back to women-only restrooms. Let's do this. Women-only restrooms and then unisex bathrooms. So if women want to go in the men's room, they still can. Watch and see how long that line for the women's restroom will be while the unisex one is open. Where it's like, yeah, sure, you can go in there. And you peek in and there's urine all over the toilet seat. And you're like, I'd rather pee in my pants.
We don't
I'd rather have my pee on myself than that pee anywhere near me.
It would be a good social experiment because we don't hear people complaining about the reverse very often. That men go in a men's bathroom and go, oh, man, I can't believe there's a woman in there. It's always the opposite.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's all I have to say about that.
Well, I think that the real hero of this story was Beth.
She was great. She was so sweet. And I had I don't use those air dryers in bathrooms. Those just disgust me. And I don't think they had paper towels in there. So I had soaped up, washed my hands, and then I usually just dry them on my shirt or whatever. And I came out, took that video, and my hands were
Hold
soaking
your hands
wet.
out like a surgeon.
Kind of. With my phone in my hand after I just videoed urine on a toilet seat. And Beth's like, I listen to you every day. I was like, I appreciate you. I am so happy that you made this a happy memory for me because it wasn't there until I met Beth. All right, I'm going to take a quick break. When we come back, the YouTube live chat poll results. Have you voted yet? Hustle over to the Annie Fry YouTube channel and tell us if you support proxy voting for Congress. We'll be right back.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
So if you visit artisticdecks.net, St. Louis decks, fences, and patios, you can see all about some of the absolutely gorgeous... oops, somebody took that down. I was in the middle of showing that. Please stop doing that, Ethan. Thank you. Artisticdecks.net. They understand how to customize what you're looking for. They understand exactly what you need to do in order to... get this done by the end of summer. That's one of the great things that comes with working with Artistic Decks and getting them to the place right now where they can work specifically for you, deliver that summer dream deck Become the envy of the neighborhood. They have the professional expertise to help you pick from the natural materials that are available to you, the best materials that are available to you, and they deliver every single time. You can go to artisticdecks.net and see some of the examples of beautiful custom decks that they have made, and they offer free design and consultation. They can handle the permitting process. They understand that, specializing in PVC and wood composite, along with treated and cedar decks as well. And of course, they're insured. These are people you can trust. A small down payment gets you on the schedule, and you can have your dream deck, which is affordable, by this summer. Reach out to them at 314-280-0821, 314-280-0821, online at artisticdecks.net.
If you're a homeowner, it's time to upgrade your windows with Window World. Mark Cox here. I am a satisfied customer. I love the windows they put in my house, and there's a reason they're ranked number one in the number of windows sold in this country by Qualified Remodeler magazine. They have that lifetime warranty. It covers all the parts, the glass breakage, the labor. You don't have to worry about it anymore. And in over 20 years in business, they have improved the look and the thermal efficiency of over 76,000 customers in the greater St. Louis area. Window World is now offering 36 months, same as cash financing, with approved credit. And I think the customer service sets them apart from the rest of their competition. And they have an excellent track record with the Better Business Bureau. They've also raised a lot of money, over $3 million for local and national charities. So be sure and check them out. Call them at 314-993-1800. Tell them Mark Cox sent you. You can also go to windowworld.com.
At the Williams residence, everything looked kind of the same from the outside. But inside, their lives just got way happier. 3 years of inflation and debt had crushed them. But for the first time, they had the cash to secure their retirement, pay off bills, and plan their future. They didn't win the lottery exactly. They did a genius financial strategy called the Sell and Stay program from Truehold. It's easy. Their home's value had rebounded greatly, so they quickly sold it to Truehold and banked all that equity in cash. But since they weren't ready to move, they could stay put with an easy, affordable lease. Truehold even paid their property taxes, home insurance, and essential home repairs. Truehold unlocks your wealth without uprooting your life. Get a Truehold offer now while your home's value is high. Call 855-300-9993 or visit Truehold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out your home's value without having to move. That's Truehold.com.
Ready for instant curb appeal that comes with a 25-year transferable warranty? Call Rhino Shield today. We do brick, block, stucco, asbestos, aluminum, steel, cedar, and more. Over the past 20 years, we've done thousands of homes, businesses, churches, schools, condos, parking garages, large metal buildings, and strip malls, from Champaign to the Lake of the Ozarks. We do flat and sloped metal roofs to extend their lives too. Proud to be veteran-owned and manufactured in the good old USA, so we're tariff-free. We're exceeding expectations every day. Evaluations are free. A+ rated with the BBB and a lot of 5-star Google reviews. Call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or 877-25rhino.com. See what we did there? Genius. Tell them, ladies.
Don't hate, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Hey, baseball fans, I want you to take a swing at making some entries on all your favorite players with Underdog Fantasy. Baseball is back, and you can make opening day and every other game more exciting with Underdog Fantasy. It's one of the leading sports apps, and you can play in Missouri now. If you'd like to win 1,000 times your money, who doesn't? You can with Underdog. To play, it's real easy. All you have to do is choose whether a player will go higher or lower on a stat line. So for baseball, it's home runs, hits, and more. You can do the NHL with goals and assists. You can do basketball as well. You can play with as little as $1. If you get everything right, you can win up to 1,000 times your money with Underdog Fantasy. So get started today, create an account, and use the promo code MARKR. MARKR. That unlocks a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus credits when you make your first deposit. Have some fun with Underdog Fantasy right now. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play, call 800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org.
You've been listening to the very popular Wellness One for many years, Saturdays and Sundays on 97.1 FM Talk. We're happy to share that we've expanded the show to 4 times a week. Yes, 4 times every weekend. Saturday at 10 a.m., Saturday at 8 p.m., Sunday at 9 a.m., and Sunday at 2 p.m. It's the same great show designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you a common sense, science-based strategy for a healthy life. So join TJ and Aaron for Wellness One. Now 4 times a week on 97.1 FM Talk.
Okay, do you support proxy voting for Congress is the question we're asking you today. That's the YouTube live chat poll. We're going to give you the results of this poll in just a couple minutes here before the end of the show. Yes for new parents, yes for any medical concern, or no. It is 2:52. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Hey, good afternoon. It's Mark Reardon. It is Liberation Day and Liberation Afternoon. We are going to air the remarks by the president at the Oval Office here at the start of the 3 o'clock hour. I'm hoping that he's going to get into some Q&A as well, and then we'll get the show rolling. Right after that, we got a full show. Sue's News in the 4 o'clock hour. Alex Rich from Y98 joins, and Brian Kilmeade at 5:07.
This is the Annie Fry Show. Follow Annie on X at Annie Fry Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Fry Show. 2:53. We got weather coming in. We know that. We're watching it carefully. Should be fun to drive home in. Hopefully everybody is staying safe. You can let us know on the Annie Fry YouTube channel if you're experiencing any of that rowdy weather right now. I did notice on Fox News that their little lower button on the right side, it had St. Louis up there for weather. I was like, oh, that's nice. Thanks for the
Thanks, Fox.
Yeah. YouTube live chat poll. Do you support proxy voting for Congress? Yes. Yes for new parents. Yes for any medical concern, or no. What do you think, Brad?
I've gone back and forth on this a lot, but I think I'm settling on no. I don't think like as much as I want to be friendly to families and all of that other stuff, I think there's other things that we can do. And I think that people need to start approaching public service as public service, not a job. And so I just think that whenever you're in service, you need to make some difficult sacrifices.
What's the other side of this issue that you said you've been going back and forth on?
Yes, but for new parents, like I completely understand maternity leave, allowing mothers to vote from home, by proxy during their maternity leave. But I think that there's things that could be done instead.
What do you think, Ryan?
I'm a no, but I also could I could swing the complete opposite direction and go full yes. We were talking about this in the break, that the only way I would go full yes is to say that all voting should be proxy voting so that all members of Congress actually are in their districts more. I could see that happening. The problem is I'm still a no, because you still would have to prove that it's that person voting.
What if the person had to be in a public place in their district with their constituents could, like during the workday, anytime voting is taking place, you had to be in this public space where your constituents could come be where you are while you were voting.
To prove that it was you, I actually think that's not a bad idea.
On video.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, you'd have to be, because you'd be streaming into like the biggest 435 people in the House, zooming in to vote.
Yeah, I could see that happening, and that
Can
being
you shut that door?
a decent.
Thank you.
This was not available 20 years ago. That could happen now, and it could be a solution to all these things.
It's kind of an interesting thing. It'd be hard to have discussion, though, and debate.
So you still have to convene at some point.
Yeah. Ethan, I don't know if you have thoughts on this. Do you?
I thought that you said it perfectly earlier. I'm worried about the slippery slope. And, like, if you say yes to this, where does it go from here? So I'm a no for that reason.
All right. What do we got?
245 votes on today's YouTube live chat poll. Do you support proxy voting for Congress? Only 5% say yes. 11% say yes for new parents specifically. And then 16% say yes for any medical concern. But it's an overwhelming 68% that say no to the poll today.
Yeah, Anna Paulina Luna messed this up big.
Yeah,
it got in the way of procedure, and it bothers me that happened. And if this was a fight to fight, it was at a different time. Mark Reardon's got the Trump press conference, Liberation Day, next.
The biggest piano sale of the year is being held at the Muni starting Thursday, April 3rd through Sunday, April 6th. Hi, this is Kathy from Lacefield Music, and every year Lacefield Music supports the Muni by loaning the Yamaha pianos needed for all their coaching, rehearsal, and performance needs. In appreciation, the Muni hosts an annual sale of all the pianos used during the season. In addition to the loan pianos, a huge selection of new and used pianos will be brought to the Muni for you to shop. New Yamaha Grands, Uprights, Clavinovas, and Disclavier player pianos, plus new and used Zyler, Kawai, Baldwin, Roland, and vintage Steinways. All will be offered at rock bottom prices. The event is at the Muni starting April 3rd. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday are by appointment only. Sunday is open to the public. Call 314-860-2712 to make an appointment. That's 314-860-2712.
I'm Dr. Nick Barnes at Health From Within Family Chiropractic in Rock Hill. At Health From Within, our mission is to transform the way you manage your health by bringing you the truth about health and healing. We use proven techniques to remove interference in the nervous system and maximize health naturally, without drugs or surgery. Connect with me at healthfromwithinstl.com and join me for Maximize Living on this station every Sunday at 8 a.m. or download the Maximize Living podcast, healthfromwithinstl.com.
When Greg Hammonds at greghammonds.com talks to people about health insurance, they tell him, number 1, my premiums are too much. Number 2, my deductible is so high I never meet it. And number 3, my doctor doesn't accept my plan anymore. Greg offers private health insurance plans that are not on the ACA